Bro, do I need 400 Radiant? Do I need 400 stories for the same thing? Then nothing happened. How can you have so many links to the same thing where nothing is happening? Key moments. What nothing? Where? What are they?
This is Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, and Anchorage, Alaska. Vladimir Putin just now emerging from the plane there and coming down the stairs. Of course, we remember the summit between these two leaders during President Trump's first term in Helsinki. They met, and now they meet again right here.
Reporters certainly did their best to shout as much as they could to try and, get some questions to Vladimir Putin. I believe he was asked, will you agree to a ceasefire? Why can you trust Vladimir Putin? But no dice. They did not want to respond. They want to get down to business.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while.
Just gonna phone call the NATO building and tell them.
The various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell him what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I can see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you.
God, he's such a... Oh, my God, dude. He's such a pussy. Putin should have said something like, next time, will you eat my shit? And Trump would be like, 2 weeks, we'll see. Like, he's such a loser. Why is my president such a fucking loser? I don't understand why we couldn't just get, like, a strongman dictator who's at least, like, a strongman dictator. Like, I feel like we got the worst of all worlds. He's, like, as weak as they thought a woman would have been. He's as emotional and temperamental as they said that a woman would have been. But then he's got, like, all the false bravado of some toxically masculine, insecure dude. Like, I don't understand. We get the worst qualities of every fucking... And then he's just as, like, sycophantically obsessed with having power and whatever... for himself with his stupid tariffs and his fucking phone calls and oh my God.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, wait, what is this? Infuriating that this is somehow legal.
This is Dr.
I clicked this a while ago.
Hello?
Oh, this is going to be... Hold on, I'm just going to try to predict this whole thing right now, and I want to be completely wrong. Please let this be wrong. Hello? Oh, you have an illness, and it would only cost us 50 cents as a company to save your life? We can't do that because we're evil and we hate you. Go die. Is that what this is about, or is it going to be something totally different? Oh, we know you're already covered, but we arbitrarily canceled that because we hate your family so much.
This is Dr. Elizabeth Potter. Who is this? Who am I speaking with? Can you not... So you're... Sorry, so there's also another wet. So you have two doctors on the call. Will either of you give me your name or MPI number or license number? The reference number for the call, but you won't give me your name or number, and neither will the doctor from Texas. Okay, please give me the reference number. Okay, and is the doctor from Texas? Would that person speak up, please? I'm good. Are you a plastic surgeon? What do you mean subspecialty plastics? I'm a plastic surgeon. I wouldn't say subspecialty, so... You're an oculoplastic surgeon. What was your initial training in? So we're speaking about lymphedema of the arm. So this is not an area that you're familiar with, correct? Oh, okay. Still practicing, but you won't give me your name? But you're my colleague in plastic surgery, and you won't give me your name.
Wait, what is this? What do we want? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't understand how it's connected. I understand that the CEO was murdered, right? But I'm your peer, and I want to have a conversation with a peer about a patient who has breast cancer and lymphedema, and I would like to know your name. How do I know who you are? How do I know that you're board certified and that you're a microsurgeon? Like, how do I verify that? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm talking to an expert in this procedure with training that's commensurate with that. How do I verify that? So I can get your name from United Healthcare through this reference number?
Yeah, oh, okay. You know, one of the funny things about all the insurance shit is people talk about insurance being a drag on an entire industry, that if you pay insurance anywhere, it's just literally sucking money out. There's a variety of reasons why that's not true. There might be very small reasons where that can be true in some circumstances. But one thing arguably you can say that insurance companies take care of our hospitals is like facilitating payment transfers and like minimum thresholds for certain things. So like my guess is going to be that however annoying this might be to deal with, if you were actually dealing like insurance company to hospital or whatever, you wouldn't be asking these questions. It would be like mandatory, like all of this kind of information would be provided. Like it would just be part of the standard process of communicating between whatever things, as opposed to whatever the fuck this is.
I'm so sorry that this is to protect you as a doctor. I'm really trying just to do the right thing as a patient. And I also personally have been subject to, threatening communication as well. I just want this to be the right thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to trust you. You were asking me as a representative of United to trust you that you're a plastic surgeon and fellowship trained in microsurgery. So, okay, I'll trust you there. So do you perform lymphovenous bypass? Have you performed it yourself for patients with lymphedema? Have you performed it yourself? So
I don't think I've ever heard a doctor say dealing with insurance was positive or beneficial. I mean, it's always going to feel shitty, but there's a broader macro thing there. And the reality is collecting payments from people is always shit. Like, I'm sorry, but that's always true. Like, you could remove the insurance, like, thank God I don't have to deal with it anymore. Okay, well, now you get to deal with people who can't pay, don't want to pay, start missing payments or whatever. Like, that could be, like, you're going to have to get some other company to do it, or you're going to have to in-house all of it, which you're not going to do, right? And then whatever company you deal with is always going to be dog shit. Like, that just sucks. Like, collecting payments and payment processing and all of that is always, like, it's not a very fun process.
Have you been the primary surgeon in evaluating and performing lymphovenous bypass for a patient?
Where the government pays them all? Sure, you can do that. But doctors, it's not like they enjoy working with Medicare anymore. Like, there are a lot of hospitals that just, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there are a lot of private practices that just don't accept Medicare, period. So I don't know why that would be your go-to, like, own there.
And performing lymphovenous bypass for a patient. Even one. You have not. Okay. Do you treat patients with breast cancer currently and do microsurgery like deep flaps or lymph node transfers?
This hang-up doesn't happen with countries with public options. No, my understanding is the clinic/hospital just build a national/provincial provider. Possibly, but I think Americans are more likely to, if somebody says no, they're going to doctor shop and go find some other shit. Whereas the Europores, they get told no, and they're like, well, fuck me, I guess. But in America, they're like, somebody's going to say yes, motherfucker. And if it's not going to be you, I'm going to go find the motherfucker to say yes, okay?
Or lymphovenous bypass. You have a cosmetic practice currently. Okay. Do you do microsurgical? Okay. Do you do microsurgical breast reconstruction currently? So you're not doing microsurgical breast reconstruction currently or treating patients with lymphedema currently. Okay. So the patient that we're talking about is a physician, and she is going to have an axillary dissection and radiation.
A lot of fancy words here, so I know she's correct.
And her risk of lymphedema is, I'm assuming you know. Do you know? Do you know what the No, it's important. The specifics are important. Do you know the specific risk? Like the documented risk for her? Like the percentage risk of lymphedema? No. Does she absolutely will need radiation? If she's having an axillary dissection, she's going to have radiation. No,
This is a doctor needing a surgery for a patient. She's on the phone with the insurance's doctors who are denying her claim that her patient's in need of surgery. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, dude. I have doctor friends and pharmacist friends that I've talked to. Maybe it's different in different places, or obviously, I don't know the whole process. But, like, this idea that you would call in to debate on, like, some particular thing, like, they have, like, standard lists of, like, what is an acceptable treatment for this thing. Like, if a patient has this, do they need surgery? Now, there might be, like, edge cases or things where you have to, like, make a medical determination of, like, do they have this so they need the surgery? Maybe you might argue there, but I mean, like, like the insurance company has to cover care, otherwise they don't make any money, right? People are under this assumption that these insurance companies make money by denying care, but that's not true because they can only collect, is it 20/80? I think only, like, of all the receipts that they collect from people, of all the revenues, only 20% can be I believe it's only 20% can be profit. So if you go over, you literally have to reimburse all the people that buy insurance from you. You can't, this idea that, like, they make money by denying coverage. That's not true. They make money by people paying premiums. That's where the money comes from.
She's been to see us in clinic She's had further evaluation. She is going to be having an axillary dissection and will need radiation. So do you know what her risk of lymphedema is?
Like, I don't think you would ever ask a question like this. What is the risk? Like, I think that this is all shit that would be just built into whatever the insurance companies like cover or don't cover. Maybe it's different in some places, but I would be shocked if the process was like, you're trying to approve or deny the surgery. What is the percentage chance risk of an endocardio, folliculario, genomial? Like, I don't know. Maybe in some places they do that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think if you're this is part of the issue. If you're my peer, then I think you should be able to answer that question, because that's an important.
Destiny, to be clear, that means the profit maximizing point is to deny all effective life-saving care that would push payouts over 80%. Yeah, but you understand I could just come on the other side of that, right? And say, wicked demurge, that means that you have to pay out all ridiculously frivolous, stupid claims in order to push payouts down to 80%. Like, you can play both sides of that.
Statistics, certainly for my patients who have lymphedema. So her risk of getting lymphedema is 40%, and we have the ability to reduce that to 10% using a lymphovenous bypass. And that's the information that I want you to carry back to you. To 10%, lymphedema is 40%, and we have the ability to reduce that to 10% using a lymphovenous bypass. And that's the information that I want you to carry back to United. And I will do the appeals and all of that. But that's the piece of information that I want you to have going forward.
It's true.
So you don't have the ability to approve it in your role. Okay, for this patient, I'll appeal. Again, I appreciate your time. I don't think you're my peer in this area. I don't think that you had the specific details around this procedure. You haven't performed it yourself as a primary surgeon.
Stephen, spelled incorrectly, he's absolutely wrong here. Insurance companies are increasingly putting more and more procedures and medication behind a pre-authorization paywall. Pre-auth is not a paywall, by the way. Doctors regularly have phone calls like this. Listen, go invest in all the healthcare companies and make millions of dollars in. They're super ultra profitable. Then go show me all the money you're making on them. Go show me all the money these people are making on them. They're not. I'm sorry, you're wrong. Except for my calls, which are always good.
You're not actively treating these patients with microsurgery. But I appreciate your time and calling, and I'll continue to reach back out to United.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Pre-auth just means you have to prove you actually need the procedure. I don't know about that. There's healthcare in the U.S. is so complicated. Pre-auth sounds kind of bullshitty to me. It's like, apparently there are some things that are literally always denied on pre-auth or whatever, and you always have to like make a call and do some bullshit. Everything about our healthcare system is kind of a nightmare. United has now removed her from approved provider list, so her patients can no longer see her. She had to sell her house and get a lawyer. United is making her lose her career for exposing them. Well, if they're so horrible to work with, why not just like not work with United patients, no? Destiny, you just hate normal people trying to survive, don't you? Yep, that's me. The reality is you don't give a fuck about any of this, and you don't care, and you just repeat the most retarded fucking shit you've ever seen in your entire life off of social media. Probably because you've never actually had real healthcare issues in your life, or you've never engaged with the healthcare system in any meaningful way, or talked to anybody that's actually engaged with the healthcare system in the United States or in any other country in the world. Because all you young fucking retarded Americans have no clue how literally any of this fucking shit works. Like, you guys think that you walk into some random European hospital and you get treated out the ass for every single thing you want for free, and that every single person in the United States is dying of like preventable diseases all the time. It's just the most retarded shit ever. But I don't give a fuck, so enjoy it. Have fun with it. I don't care.
In the Seychelles live the extraordinary. Wander lush, unspoilt forests and experience wildlife up close. Dive beneath the surface to visit a different world. Find hidden spaces and treasure quiet moments.
Would you say you're a right wing on healthcare? No, not even close. I think public options are, probably good. Or maybe a single payer, multi-payer system would probably be good. The issue is that, especially because doctors in healthcare are involved, and because the vast majority of the people that have strong opinions on this are like my people in chat who have never engaged with healthcare before, so they have no fucking idea what any of it even means. The issue is that every intelligent person that we've listened to talk about this issue, like, acknowledges that it is insanely complicated because every single stage of providing healthcare to somebody is incredibly complicated. Designing pharmaceutical drugs needs a massive private investment when it comes to bringing a drug to market, anywhere from 500 billion to fucking whatever to like the average cost to get through all of your final phase trials to bring a drug to market. And that relies on a whole bunch of like generalized, publicly funded government grant research that other companies like have to pick up in the private sector to bring a drug to market for, right? So there's a whole bunch of like research. There's a whole bunch of companies that are bringing drugs to market. Like the FDA approval process is incredibly burdensome for a good reason, right? As it should be. And that's just like the drug part. Like doctors get paid a fuck ton of money. There's a ton of training that goes into being a doctor that I'm increasingly hearing people argue is probably not worth it. That it's just, there's just too much training for our doctors, that it doesn't need to be that much. And then if you were to lower the threshold on that and get more doctors, it would probably make our medical system better. The entire hospital model is incredibly complicated. The fact that you're dealing with healthcare, and so people feel like they're entitled to the latest and greatest drug, otherwise you're literally denying them life-saving treatment. That if like there's a 10% survival operation versus like an 8% one, that if you do the 8% one, even though it might be, 1% of the cost, you're denying somebody a greater chance to live. Like that one guy who blew up on Reddit where people were crying that he got turned down for a double lung transplant after he had lung cancer, stage 4. And the insurance company's like, bro, you kind of gone through everything. Like, there's not much we can do. And people are like, they're murdering him. They're killing him by denying his double lung transplant. They're killing this man. And it's like, it's just incredibly complicated from top to bottom. Like, there's just so many different moving pieces. But people just like look at one thing, and then you get like retards. You're like, oh, go Luigi. Like, it's just the health insurance company. It's like, okay.
Let's stay here. Go ahead. This is the surgery center where Dr. Elisabeth Potter operates on breast cancer patients. She's actually in surgery right now. She made a video in January talking about an incident she had.
The funniest thing was like several months ago when fucking anesthesiologists, who are the most highly compensated doctors in the fucking world, all tricked the American dipshit public into thinking that they were getting scammed by insurance companies who were going to be turning off the anesthesia in the middle of operations. That the evil insurance man in a suit and tie was going to run into the fucking hospital room and turn off the anesthesia, and our patients waking up and screaming. When insurance companies were just like, oh, we feel like you guys are overbilling us on basically all of this shit. I feel like we should have some standards here. And then immediately the doctors for the public, like, just so you guys know, they're trying to turn your anesthesiology off. They're trying to turn it off in the middle of the operation. You guys are going to wake up screaming if these evil, horrible insurance people have it their way.
With a health insurance company while she was operating on a patient.
It's 2025 and insurance.
Hold on, sorry.
She's actually in surgery right now. She made a video in January talking about an incident she had with a health insurance company while she was operating on a patient.
It's 2025 and insurance just keeps getting worse. Never had this happen before.
In her video, which she posted to Instagram and TikTok, Dr. Potter described being in surgery when she got a message that a health insurance representative was trying to reach her about a patient who it turned out was already on the operating table.
So I scrubbed out of my case and I called United Healthcare. And I was like, to understand that she's asleep right now and she has breast cancer, it's out of control. Insurance is out of...
Wait, link me the video on this. And then I'm going to have to take her side of it, but I don't care. Link me it. Sure, a stage 4 patient doesn't have much options, but you're dramatizing it too? Okay. Damn, we are Dr. Skeptics today. Hell yeah. I'm going to be honest, KKMD. Tell me if it's the same where you practice. I feel like every single actor in the healthcare world hates every single other actor. Like nurses that I know will shit on doctors, saying that they're way more cocky than they need to be, that without nurses like keeping track of shit, like doctors don't check charts well enough, or they delegate too much, or they're just like fucking, like attendings can just be nightmares to deal with. I've heard doctors shit on like having to deal with insurance providers, having to deal with like insane like bureaucratic bullshit at like a hospital, having to deal with like other like healthcare staff that, you know, think they know more than they don't. I've heard insurance people or people that work in like insurance approvals shit on doctors, and no, usually it's doctors, that they'll get like calls to like authorize drugs and shit that are nowhere near on the coverage list, maybe because it's worked well off label for a patient one time. They just make the dumbest requests, and the insurance person's like, bro, we don't approve this. This is never going to be approved. I don't like every single person I've talked to. Now, again, this might be selecting from my world, but every single person I've talked to that's worked in any part of the healthcare industry, it seems like they hate every other part of the healthcare industry. But I don't know if maybe it's different in some places, or if you wanted Dr. Potter's video about this.
It's 2025 and...
Oh, is this her video here?
Insurance. It's 2025 and insurance just keeps getting worse. I just did 2 bilateral deeps and 2 bilateral tissue expanders for patients. And I've never had this happen before, but during the second deep, I got a phone call into the operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them about one of the patients who was having surgery today, who was actually asleep having surgery. And, said I had to call right now. So I scrubbed out of my case and I called United Healthcare, and the gentleman said he needed some information about her, wanted to know her diagnosis and whether her inpatient stay should be justified. And I was like, to understand that she's asleep right now and she has breast cancer. And the gentleman said, actually, I don't. That's a different department that would know that information. And I was like, well, she does need to stay overnight tonight. And you have all the information with you because I got approval for this surgery. And I need to go back and be with my patient now. But, yeah, it's out of control.
Is this like why would the doctor even be the one talking here? Wouldn't this be like a hospital administrative thing? Like, is this a thing like, hey, we need you to step out for a second. We have, the insurance company needs to have a discussion about covering inpatient stay post-surgery. I actually was doing anesthesia for the case she's talking about right now. Based.
Control. Insurance is out of control. I have no other words.
That's the story on this. In January, Dr. Elisabeth Potter said she was midway through performing a breast reconstruction surgery when a call from a representative from United Healthcare came into the operating room. Wait, sorry, hold on.
It's 2025 and insurance just keeps getting worse. I just did 2 bilateral deeps and 2 bilateral tissue expanders for patients. And I've never had this happen before, but during the second deep, I got a phone call.
Okay. Gotcha. I didn't know what that was. Now we know. Okay, so Potter, a plastic surgeon, told NBC News. Potter posted a video on TikTok recounting the call that's reached nearly 6 million views. During the call, she said United Healthcare representative wanted more information on why the patient needed an overnight hospital stay, even though the surgery itself had already been approved. The person on the phone asked for her diagnosis for the patient who was under anesthesia on the table. She said, that call was just this wake-up call. If they can ring me in the operating room, not for something urgent, just for that, and to ask me to justify her staying overnight, we have lost her way. Potter acknowledged that it was her decision to step out of the surgery to take the call, but in 2025 with insurance, she says, when they say jump, I say how high. A spokesperson for United Healthcare said the company did not ask, nor would it ever expect a physician interrupt patient care to return a phone call about a notification error or any other insurance matter. Potter said United Healthcare denied coverage for the hospital stay. The insurance spokesperson said the stay was approved, but there was an error with a separate request. Now, Potter said she believes United Healthcare is retaliating against her because of her social media posts, putting her at risk of bankruptcy. The health insurance company, she said, has not allowed her clinic, the Red Bud Surgery Center in Austin, Texas, to join their in-network list of providers. She started the clinic in April of 2024. Potter herself remains in-network, meaning she can perform surgeries in a hospital, but because the facility is out of network, she can't operate there. In-network means a health insurer has a contract with a healthcare provider, agreeing to pay for services at preset rates. Out-of-network means there's no contract. Without being able to accept United Healthcare patients in network, Potter said she likely won't be able to stay in business. I like how the people in chat earlier were like, this was for a life-saving thing for a patient. It was a plastic surgeon. But I mean, like, that can be important as well. But it's funny. Fucking read. I hate all of you. While she's in talks to join other insurance networks, United Healthcare is the second biggest player in the market, according to the Texas Department of Insurance. Potter said she's currently $5 million in debt, and her husband had to cash out his 401k to help him stay afloat. Wait, what the fuck? Are you okay? My goal has always been, how do I make this work? I'm a problem solver, she said. The fact that they hold the strings in that way, that they're able to control the economics of the practice of medicine down to the facility that I'm operating in, it seems just arbitrary and also somewhat cruel. The United Healthcare spokesperson said the company informed Potter that its network was closed to new centers in October of 2024, well before she began posting the social media videos. Ooh. The spokesperson also said there was already a sufficient number of surgery centers in the area by Potter's clinic. Did the Potter person ever post anything contradicting this? The spokesperson added that Potter's consultant continued to reach out to the company after October, but there were no ongoing negotiations. Potter said that United Healthcare remained in contact with her consultant until January, around the time she posted the viral video. I don't know how United defines negotiations, but there were ongoing communications pushing for me to be in network. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're negotiating. Like if I email and beg Twitch to unban me, I'm not in negotiations for my unban. At Destiny, I love you, bro, but I do think you need to look into these interactions in better detail. Hell, you might teach us something against these negative views. No, we've done this over and over again. Like people, you guys feel the way you do because emotionally people just hate insurance, which is based, I guess. You should hate doctors too. And nurses. You should really just hate everybody. Nobody cares about how to solve any of these issues or whatever. People just think that there's an unlimited amount of resources at every single stage of our healthcare system, and anytime somebody doesn't have coverage, it's just because there's a doctor standing around waiting to operate, but there's an evil insurance man who is like telling him he's not allowed to go and save that person's life. Like that, unironically, that is the vast majority of people think that if insurance companies would just get out of the way, there'd be way more people in the U.S. Receiving healthcare. And it's just not the case. It's not true. Medical stuff is like super stretched across the entire U.S. The resources are scarce. Oh shit, well look at me. I guess I'm the fucking retard. Because she raised $700,000. What? For what? What is she raising money for? Like, for... Like, if she was $5 million in debt and her business can't survive... While reimbursements for surgeries continue to decrease and many surgeons left private practice for employed positions with insurance companies, large groups, and hospitals, I remain in private practice where I was able to put patients over profits. In response to the preference of insurance companies to move cases into less expensive outpatient settings, I built my own surgery center to provide breast cancer and breast reconstruction surgeries in a specialized outpatient setting. I invested the remainder of my savings in the practice and personally guaranteed loans and took on an additional debt totaling $4.8 million. What the fuck? Bro! This is not a doctor raising money. This is a fucking person whose fucking business is failing. Hold on. I hate all of you so much. God, I just need to eat fresh. I need to eat fresh. This makes more sense, too, why she was pulled out of surgery or whatever. She wasn't pulled out of surgery. It's just a small private practice. She might not even have people working the desk there or whatever. Wait, like, hold on. Was she ever like an inpatient or in-network provider? Hold on. My surgery center opened in 2024 and passed all CMS and state certifications with flying colors. Since that time, we have personally covered all the ongoing costs of the surgery center. We hired consultants to facilitate contracts with all insurers, and we're in the process of navigating that throughout the fall and winter of 2024. All right. Wait, so she was never even in network. She was never even part of UNH. She made it sound like they retaliated and pulled her contract, but they never even negotiated one. Oh my God, bro. Hold on, let me read this story. Do you have some research notes that we can reference on the insurance ecosystem? I don't know if I ever did a note it or not. There was one podcast we listened to that was really interesting. If you find like big the problem is, this sucks, but if you want like really good information about like healthcare system issues, you need to go find the low viewer podcast shit because all the 50 million ones are just going to like blame one part of the healthcare system. It's going to be, and it's generally going to be people blaming insurance or people blaming pharmaceuticals, and like that's it. But like the people that talk about it comprehensively and get into like all of the numbers, the nitty gritty shit, it feels like the issue is just like everything in healthcare is so expensive for a myriad of reasons. It's just like every part of it is just so, yeah, it's just a lot.
I will tell you.
An hour and 43 minutes. 2 months ago. Damn, she's making the rounds.
That in 2022 through 2023, they leaned very hard on me to be quiet.
Wait, what is this? Ugh, don't make me go down this road. Dude, my audience already hates me enough for talking about this shit. Don't send me down this road. The attention that followed chill out into the reality. Okay. Okay. As a reconstructive plastic surgeon, Austin, Texas, with a practice primarily devoted to breast reconstruction, I provided access to the most advanced surgeries in network through insurance for over 12 years. I've been a safety net for patients across the country, accepting any insurance payment and not turning patients away due to poor reimbursement. I'm one of the highest volume microsurgeons in the country, and am known throughout the breast cancer patient community as a strong patient advocate with excellent outcomes. When insurance coding changes, threatened access to the most complex and healthy types of natural tissue reconstruction in 2021. Okay, so again, this is also pushing my point, but I don't think people even think I have a good point here. Americans always want access to the latest and greatest thing, and if they don't have the latest and greatest thing, it's seen as like killing somebody. You are killing somebody if you don't give them the latest and greatest and most complex and it's always you're murdering somebody by denying them life-saving healthcare. I personally took on the task and cost of reversing that change. Working in a broad coalition with patients and other advocates, we achieved a reversal of the coding change, ensuring the best options are made accessible for the community. While reimbursements for surgeries continue to decrease and many surgeons left private practice for employed positions in insurance companies. Oh, we read this part. Okay. So she opened her own center in 2024. So what, did she work with a hospital before here for over 12 years? Is that what this was? Around the time the post went viral, UNH stopped communication with my consultants and have not allowed my surgery center to be in network. It is difficult for me to believe that this isn't retaliation. It's certainly not in the best interest of their members by refusing to allow my center to be in network. UNH pressures me to either perform breast reconstruction surgeries in hospital facilities at a significantly higher cost, or to require their members to pay out-of-network facility penalties, or to ask insured patients affected by breast cancer to pay cash for their care. Their ongoing refusal to allow my surgery center to be in network is punishment for being a whistleblower. I have started a GoFundMe as a last resort to pay down some of my debt and avoid insolvency. Oh my God.
I mean, to the point where...
Starting from the beginning.
Do I... Confidential, not for publication or attribution. Nice. This is looks like a cease and desist to her from the from United Healthcare. We are writing to demand you correct your knowingly false, misleading, and defamatory social media posts regarding United Healthcare. In short, United Healthcare never asked or expected. Should this not be nor? Do people just not use nor anymore? Is that... And then here is the response to her. Oh, no, wait. I was curious. Okay, whatever. In short, United Healthcare never asked or expected you to step out of surgery to make a phone call, and any suggestion that we did so is false. On the morning of the surgery, your office incorrectly ordered an inpatient hospital stay when you meant to order an outpatient observation stay. Had you not made that error, United Healthcare would not have reached out. You have taken actions on social media to defend your actions and remove comments that are critical to you, while failing to remove threatening, harassing, and intimidating comments directed at others. Ooh, rigging the comment section. Oh, no! You must promptly correct the record by removing your videos, posting a public apology to United Healthcare, and condemning the threats of violence aimed at our clients. We also expect you to contact Newsweek. Required you to leave the operating room during surgery to discuss pictures, among other things. Okay. It's actually sleep having surgery, and you know, said I had to call right now. Okay. The patient you referenced was scheduled for surgery at HCA St. David's Medical Center in Austin, Texas on January 6, 2025. As you know, United Healthcare had already approved a previously submitted prior authorization request for outpatient surgery for this patient, but HCA had informed us that your office notified them on the day of the surgery that the patient should be admitted for an inpatient stay rather than the observation stay that should have been ordered and was already approved as part of the prior auth. That was your error, which you subsequently acknowledged to United Healthcare when you confirmed you only wanted to observe the patient overnight. It was your error that caused United Healthcare to call you for a peer-to-peer review. As you should know, Texas law only gives insurers 1 day to review concurrent cases and provide a reasonable opportunity to discuss the plan of treatment for the patient before issuing a denial. Because of the erroneous notification for an inpatient stay, United Healthcare was mandated by law to provide a reasonable opportunity to discuss the patient's treatment with you prior to issuing a denial, and to do so promptly, but this does not mean United Healthcare ever asked or expected you to step out of surgery to return that call. Let us be clear, any suggestion that United Healthcare asked you to start a surgery or the call sergeant was false. UHC's representative called HCA at 2:29 p.m. on January 6, 2025. UHC explained the purpose for the call was to ask to be transferred to the nurse caring for the patient. HCA transferred our client's representative to the operating room department. When UHC's representative was informed that the patient was in surgery, United Healthcare asked the operating room department simply to take a message and inform them that the call was not urgent and that you could call United Healthcare back when convenient to you. I wonder, do they really have that? Is that all on message? Because that'd be pretty bad. United Healthcare did not ask or expect you to scrub out of surgery and call right now, as you falsely claim. Rather, our client was surprised that you left a patient mid-surgery to return a call that it had informed your staff was not urgent and could wait. You know this because United Healthcare's representative told you this and insisted the call could wait until after surgery, yet you insisted on talking to the United Healthcare while your patient was in the operating room, unconscious, under anesthesia. Your insinuation that UHC's call forced you to leave your patient in the operating room in the middle of surgery is also false. In a subsequent video, you concede this is precisely how your initial video was interpreted. Wait, where's the follow-up video? Is that true? But because that interpretation caused you to look bad, you felt forced to and did clarify that your patient was not left alone and her surgery was not stopped. In fact, in your subsequent video, you expressly admit that when I left the operating room the other day, I had another surgeon with me scrubbed in so the patient wasn't alone. Yet your viewers of your video still reached the false conclusion that United Healthcare stopped a cancer surgery to ask if it was medically necessary.
I had no idea that my little video would reach so many people. But I'm glad that it did. Because we all need to know what's really going on in healthcare. When I left the operating room the other day, I had another surgeon with me scrubbed in, so the patient wasn't alone, for those of you who've been concerned, and I love that you guys thought of the patient first, which is what we should all be doing. But yeah, it's gotten ridiculous that insurance companies really do control when and what kind of care we deliver. And it's almost like a fear-based system where if an insurance company calls me and says I got to call them right back, like I'm afraid they're not going to pay for my patient's.
Well, But apparently they didn't say you had to call right back. And apparently it was because these guys made a coding error, though. This is another thing. I think I saw somebody in chat type that earlier. There's another thing I heard complaints from the friend who worked insurance is that doctors apparently make a lot of paperwork errors, especially private practice people. And that, fuck, what was the other thing? Oh, I think I already said it. That sometimes doctors will just ask for like really retarded shit that is like never ever going to be approved, and then they have to argue a little bit. And then but I don't know how true that is. This comes from basically one friend I remember that used to work or might still work at like approving and denying claims that would come through. So okay, full transparency.
Surgery that patient's going to get stuck with a bill. It's the crazy.
wait. Who's gonna get stuck with the bill?
It's the crazy world we're living in right now, and I think that one of the things that like, I'm afraid they're not going to me and says I got to call them right back. Like I'm afraid they're not going to pay for my patient's surgery. That patient's going to get stuck with a bill.
You mean that you're gonna get stuck with the bill, right?
It's the crazy world we're living in right now, and I think that one of the things that we can do and keep doing is like just talk about it and be honest. And so I'm here for that.
Queen. Wait, 1 second. Charlie also made a retarded video on
I
this.
stream often and
Oh, I don't need any fucking ordinary whatever YouTubers take on anything related to this. Okay. Is this another one or?
My little video would read.
Oh, it's the same video. You conceded that your office's inpatient notification was erroneous when you spoke with United Healthcare. When our client informed you that a notification for an inpatient stay had been submitted, you confirmed you only wanted to observe the patient overnight and discharge the patient the following day. United Healthcare also never told you that a different department would know that information about the patient's care, as you falsely claimed. Rather, United Healthcare advised you that your office's notification for an inpatient stay was not submitted with any clinical information supporting an inpatient stay. The notification appeared to be an error, and again, you confirmed this error during your brief conversation with United Healthcare. At bottom, you should know what you are saying is false and misleading, but you continue defaming United Healthcare for your own personal gain. Damn. Oh no, not the comments. Numerous comments such as "In Luigi we trust" and "Need more Luigi" were posted in response to your false claims, attempting to justify the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Many comments called for similar actions against United Healthcare Group and United Healthcare executives and employees. For instance, one TikTok user commented, "We can keep taking out each CEO that steps up until they get it." Another user commented, "Guess someone else needs to be killed for them to get the point. LOL, what in the world?" Other comments included similar sentiments, including, "They got the wrong CEO. There's one above in United Health Groups." or there's one above in United Health Group. Maybe we need to review the lesson. We can go over it as many times as it takes them to get the message. They'll run out of CEOs before we run out of supplies. Damn. What does she say? I wonder what she says on Dr. Mike.
Beginning of your career. How did you end up practicing where you are today?
Okay, so in Austin, I always had my eye on Austin. I thought
The plastic surgeon taking on the insurance industry. Oh my God.
it would be a place where, like, as a woman, I would have independence. I don't know why I had that feeling, but growing up in Georgia, I identified Austin as a place where I could be, like, I don't know, like, open and in power.
Okay. Was that
strange,
movie
but-
influence,
No.
personal influence? How did that?
No, I remember, honestly, I think it had a lot to do with sports.
Interesting. Okay.
And then also just learning about, like, the West. And I had this feeling about women in the West, that they were strong and independent. And that was probably, like, influenced by things like movies and stories. But I'd never been to Texas. But so, when I was in medical school, I saw a mastectomy. And I saw the reconstruction as they were finishing, and I fell in love with it. So I'd never seen that before. And
if I'm a person that's never heard of the procedure, how would you describe it to me?
yeah, so when a woman has breast cancer and has a mastectomy, has her breast removed, there are surgeries to reconstruct the breast. And those are actually covered by insurance under the Women's Health and Cancer Rights Act of 1998. And you can reconstruct that with an implant or with natural tissue. So I saw a surgery where they used a woman's own tissue to make her breast. Like, she went to sleep, had mastectomies, woke up with a breast made out of her own, like, tummy tissue. And it just, a lot of things clicked for me, seeing that. Being a woman, body image issues, my grandfather had lost his legs, losing, there was just a lot that just really resonated. And I leaned in and went straight for breast reconstruction.
That's a long journey that you were eyeing for yourself, because that's not a quick path, right?
No. So I went, finished med school at Emory, and then
4 years.
4 years. Then plastic surgery at Southwestern, and that was
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. And then another year of fellowship at MD Anderson. So let's see, Emory Med. Then that was a lot of years.
Yeah. And the main passion for you from that case, what sticks out about that patient? Was it your conversations with the patient?
Okay, did my friend lie to me? People say that residency is literally like fucking 3 years where you're getting paid like minimum wage to basically be a full-time doctor, and your like life is completely fucked in the 3 years of residency. Like, you're not making any money. You're not really paying down your debt. It's like, it's grueling, excruciating. It's like so much insanely crazy, autistic, stupid shit. Maybe not minimum wage, but like a dog shit wage given. Okay, so like you guys are saying 70K, but they apparently work like a fuck ton of hours, right?
Just watching the surgery take place, like the skill set required to perform the procedure. What did you see that motivated you to connect so strongly with the field?
I think it was, so I felt this feeling in the operating room where it felt very controlled and like harmonious. It was like a zone. I felt that I was in the zone. Yeah, I was in a flow state. Even as a medical student, something was like, the bells were ringing and the birds were singing. I'm like, something is special here. But it was really rounding on that patient afterwards.
Oh shit, she's like the autistic guy from the One Doctor show. The Good Doctor, right?
Traveled from the West Coast to Atlanta to have that surgery. And even back then, I was very impressed by how hard it was for women to get healthcare and to get the kinds of healthcare that they wanted, like the surgery she chose, and how much trust she placed in the surgeon performing that surgery.
Why did you have to travel so far? Is it not uniformly available to?
No, even back then it just wasn't very common. Still today it's not. Like, there's not a lot of folks like me around. There's maybe like 200 microsurgeons in the country who do breast reconstruction a lot. So it's not an easy
Is
surgery.
it lack of training spots, interest? What is causing limitation?
It's a great question. I'd say it's a lot of different things. Plastic surgery, the folks who go into plastic surgery, the majority of plastic surgeons do cosmetic surgery.
Fair.
Yeah. And there are many reasons why breast reconstruction.
Where is she trying really hard not to say that like there's just maybe not as much money in like this particular form of stuff than the other plastic surgery, but she's trying not to throw her fellow doctors under the bus? You as a doctor have to tell me. That's kind of what it sounds like, yeah, but maybe not. I don't know.
Isn't broadly available. One of them is reimbursement. And so any plastic surgeon has a skill set.
Okay, there you go.
Training that they can make a lot of money with. And
because they could monetize directly to the consumer and don't have to deal with any of the administrative burden of working with an insurance company, hospital administrators, et cetera. Is that a fair understanding?
Yeah, and they can set their price. And
Right.
the reimbursement for breast reconstruction is painfully low. And we've fought that. But I think that a lot of plastic surgeons just look at it and go, it's not worth my time. And I sort of set out from the beginning to create a case for breast reconstruction. Like, before any of this happened, I said, I'm going to show that this is a viable career path so that other surgeons like me who love the work will follow through. And
Isn't non-medically necessary breast reconstruction basically a cosmetic surgery? I would say yes and no. I would say cautiously I would say yes, in that it's cosmetic, but the no part is that cosmetic makes it sound like it's like a vanity surgery. You know, like if a girl gets like acid attacked and she gets like reconstructive surgery so her face doesn't look like it's melted off, like that's quote unquote cosmetic. But I think you can make arguments that it's maybe even medically necessary in terms to the person's like mental health and everything. So just because something might not be necessary for you to actually physically survive, types of restorative or cosmetic surgeries to bring somebody back to like a feeling of normal, I think are easily justifiable just as much as any like thing that would keep your body alive.
And do this with excellence, not just do it for 1 or 2 years as they're starting to build up their client base for their cosmetic practice.
Right. Yeah, because I see a tremendous similarity in the through line of what you're describing with breast reconstruction and plastic surgery, along with psychiatry and psychologists. So when I'm trying to get mental health access for my patients, which is quite often being a primary care doctor, the people who are good or who are most experienced require cash payments up front, usually large sum. And then the ones that do accept Medicare, Medicaid, some of the simpler insurers that have a tough time with reimbursements, they're not taking patients, or there's a 6-month wait, or they're falling in and out of plans. So I'm basically putting this impetus on my patient who is already in a dark mental place, lacking motivation, to say, hey, get motivated, call 10 places, get rejected from 5 of them. 1 will cancel on you. And the one that you do end up seeing, if you don't like them after the first visit, you have to do that process all over again.
Welcome to healthcare.
Similar trajectory of the field moving away from what its intended path was to where the incentives led them.
Absolutely.
The financial incentives, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and also just the system,
Yeah.
the way the system's built. I mean, it's gotten more and more cumbersome for doctors to practice within the insurance system, even if they want to, even if the reimbursement's good.
Yeah.
You know, just the overhead of doing that and how hard it is to jump through hoops. And so I think that there's a lot of similarities there. For me, it's, you know, a cancer patient who's already, I mean, they're so down and out.
Right.
They have no extra energy to fight a fight to get breast reconstruction. If you put up an obstacle in their path, they're probably just not going to get it. They're just going to have a mastectomy and you know, fight that fight another day, or maybe not have reconstruction. So I really wanted to demonstrate that this could be done honorably and fairly and like with excellent outcomes. And I was on that path, like full steam ahead doing that. I even built my own surgery center.
Wow.
Where I was like, I mean, took out personal loans, right? And built that myself to say, I can do this surgery in an outpatient setting and save money and have better outcomes and have a better experience for women affected by breast cancer. And I was like full steam doing that and trying to negotiate with insurance companies to be in network with that.
Yeah.
And then all of the other happened too.
Well, I applaud you for doing that, because most doctors, largely how complex the system is, are afraid for one reason or another to go and be that trailblazer. And without trailblazers like yourself, we won't see change happen. So I think that is one of the most important things that you're doing. And we actually have a similar relationship with a psychologist and psychiatry group that is trying to do the same in New York, where they're opening up a huge practice in order to accept patients who have lower forms of insurance.
Totally.
And use it as a viable path, hopefully
Yes.
to motivate others. And they reached out to us, and ironically, the person starting it was a med student that shadowed me when I was in my residency program. And he said, can you recommend from like a financial standpoint, what alternative monetization pathways can we create so that it sort of acts as a funding to actually take care of these patients? Because insurers are not subsidizing and paying for the care that we're giving the patients. We have to be unique or think outside of the box to actually turn a profit. And that's so ridiculous that has to happen. What strategies did you use in order to fill that gap or subsidize the care so that everyone's getting good quality care, but you're still having a viable business plan?
Is the claim I'm seeing everywhere that United Healthcare was using an AI that is wrong in 90% of appeals? That claim has been made, but that claim is bullshit. I would have to go back and read the original complaint. But people were saying that there was United Healthcare was using an AI that was rejecting 90% of claims, and then that got changed to like them rejecting 90% of appeals. But it has something to do with like there was a specific type of claim made by a specific Medicare plan they offered, where the AI was like denying more claims than they had been before or something. And it just got exploded into this huge retarded claim. Again, when you're working for healthcare providers like this, especially with these Medicare Part plans, the government regulations on this are insanely strict. You have to pay out a certain amount of the revenues that you take in. I think you have to pay out 80% or whatever of the not the revenues, not the fees, of the premiums. They have to be paid out. And if you don't pay out enough, and I think United Healthcare, I think paid out like 14 or 15 or 16%. I don't have to go and check. But if you don't pay enough, you have to refund the patients. There's like this idea that there's this huge incentive to just deny a bunch of shit to collect a bunch of money. It's just not in this industry, at least. It's not true.
That's a great question, and it's one that I'm still working out. I think for the first many years of my practice, I just played the karma card.
Okay.
And I really
that if you
said,
do the right thing, it'll come back.
Yeah.
If her service was actually cheaper, but UHC is just being a dick, isn't that bad for the system as a whole? Well, it sounds like the only issue is that if I'm being good faith, my guess is what happened was she wanted to make her own private practice, maybe for noble reasons, maybe for not. I don't really give a fuck. I'm a capitalist. If she wants to make money, I think that's totally fair. But she wanted to make a private practice, specializing in something. And my guess is going to be that if you're a doctor and you work in a hospital, there are some nice things about that. and there are some annoying things about that. One of the nice things is probably just that you get a paycheck. You don't have to worry about patient billing or like anything related to pharmacy stuff or what. There's probably like a billion things you don't have to worry about, but maybe the hours are worse or the pay isn't quite as good. And so you go and open up a specialty practice. And if you open up a specialty practice, well, you could make a whole bunch more money, but there's a whole bunch more annoying shit. Like now you have to directly interface with like insurance companies or with payments, you know, and that's probably really annoying. If I had, I'm extrapolating, or this is so much conjecture on my part, but like maybe she, in the course of opening this, she's assumed a lot of debt. She's like getting very irritated, having to deal with all the fucking bullshit of like dealing with insurance processes and all this other shit that like, you know, her office fucks up and they code something incorrectly, maybe because it is an insanely complicated process. Like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? She gets a call, you know, receptionist, whatever, informs like, hey, just, you know, like United Healthcare call, they have a message. It's not urgent, but like, you know, call back whenever. And she's like about to do surgery. She's like, am I about to do this shit and not get paid? Because this shit is, I'm already fucked. I'm already $5 million in debt. Okay, fuck me. So she scrubs out, you know, makes the call. What's going on? And they're like, hey, we're just checking your list. You coded wrong or whatever. And she's like, oh my God. Okay, yeah, I got it. All right, thank you. And then she hangs up and then they do the surgery. And then maybe after she's like, what a fucking day. And she throws on a TikTok and she's like, these fuckers pull me out of fucking surgery so that I could call them on some bullshit just because they fucking hate the little guy. Fuck this. And then she pushes send and she had no idea that it was going to explode into a huge thing. It was just like fucking, she thought she was like venting into the abyss, but in actuality got picked up and now she's like, fuck, I'm fucked. That's my guess. That's like 95% of that story is conjecture in my head, but that's my guess of what's happened here.
Out, I think for the first many years of my practice, I just played the karma card.
Okay.
And I really
that if you do the right thing, it'll come back.
Yeah,
fair.
I did. And
we did the same thing on this channel, by the way.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, you know, I was in my late 30s, early 40s, and I'm like, I just know it's going to work out. And I've never met someone as, you know, committed to this as I am, and I'm just going to do the right thing, and the world is going to see that. And I would use the money that, you know, if a case paid me better, I would do the other case for free. And I never turned anyone away. You know, Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, all of it. I never have. And I tried to negotiate with insurance companies to get better payments, and that was just impossible.
Was it you doing it as an individual, or did you have a group of local people that you were working with in the same specialty?
I mean, I hired consultants and paid a lot of money to do that. And, you know, so frustrating, you know how this works, that in the same zip code.
If that's all that happened, what the fuck was she explaining to that doctor and her on the phone with the surgery stuff? Wait, that wasn't a real call. You know that, right? Like, I don't even think she was trying to make that look like a real call. She was just doing like a skit kind of to show how insane it feels talking to the people sometimes. That wasn't an actual call. Oh, fuck. How old was this stupid fucking Reddit post? I'm being serious. It seemed like it was. Wait, no. Thanks. Here. Oh. I thought it was an epic
Hello?
Reddit post.
This is Dr. Elisabeth Potter. Who is this? Who am I speaking with?
Wait, what? What is this supposed to be a real call? Wait, hold on. Now I'm getting mind fucked.
Can you not? So you're. Sorry. So there's also another way.
Read description. I'm sharing an actual recent peer-to-peer call that shows what physicians and patients face when trying to get. Oh. The peer-to-peer call was to advocate for surgery to prevent and treat lymphedema for a patient with breast cancer. Her risk is high, and we can perform a surgery to lower it. Oh, you did find out, right? Okay. The doctors from the insurance company on the call were an ophthalmologist with a subspecialty in oculoplastic surgery and a plastic surgeon who currently has a cosmetic practice. Neither doctor has ever performed lymphovenous bypass. The surgeon was trying to get approved for my patient. Neither doctor provided their name or license number. At the conclusion of the call, the doctors told me they didn't have the power to make a determination or decision to perform the surgery. They were decided to inform me of United's decision to deny it. The medical decision was not up to the doctors on the call. It had already been made. This is a real call. Oh my God. All right, maybe we'll re-listen to it. I've been waiting for Destiny to be more blackpilled on health insurance for years now, Limfeo. I agreed with you mostly when I knew the least amount, okay? This is not anything you ever want anybody to dig into with any amount of seriousness. Like, you're better off listening to Bernie and fucking AOC on this shit and just assume that health insurance providers are evil, okay? The real black pill, you want the actual black pill is not the one that you conveniently would love to accept in every other area of your life, okay? The real black pill is your enemy is fat people and old people. That's the real black pill, okay? That's the actual one, but okay. Infuriating. Okay. What was she talking about here?
Like I can find out what other doctors are paid for the same surgery that I'm doing, and I'm underpaid in my zip code, and they don't.
And is that
care.
because you're out of network, or what's leading
no.
you to be paid less than them?
I'm in network for everything.
So then what is the reason for the disparity?
It's just so there's no transparency.
So how are you able to find out?
Fairhealth.gov.
And when you're finding that out, do you have a reason why they're earning different sums for reimbursements?
No, and that's still quite an important question that all doctors need to be asking. Like, why is it that in the same zip code that a doctor, maybe even with less experience than I have, is paid 30% more than I am?
Is it due to...
Is this before or after she started her business?
Largely how complex the system is, are afraid for one reason or another to go and be that trailblazer. And without trailblazers like yourself, we won't see change happen. So I think that is one of the most important things that you're doing. And we actually have a similar relationship with a psychologist and psychiatry group that is trying to do the same in New York, where they're opening up a huge practice in order to accept patients who have lower forms of insurance.
Totally.
And use it as a viable path, hopefully
Yes.
to motivate others. And they reached out to us, and ironically, the person starting it was a med student that shadowed me when I was in my residency. The care that we're giving the patients, what strategies did you use in order to business plan?
That's a great question, and it's one that I'm still working out. I think for the first many years of my practice, I just played the karma card.
Okay.
And I really
that if
just
you do
said-
the right thing, it'll come back.
Yeah,
Fair.
I did. And
we did the same thing on this channel, by the way.
right.
So,
yeah. So, and I'm like, I was in my late 30s, early 40s, and I'm like, I just know it's going to work out. And I've never met someone as, committed to this as I am, and I'm just going to do the right thing, and the world is going to see that. And I would use the money that, if a case paid me better, I would do the other case for free. And I never turned anyone away,
I don't understand what she's saying here. So when somebody refers to their practice, they just mean like what they're practicing in medicine, but not necessarily like them having a private practice. But when she's saying like she would do some patients for free and never turn anybody away, that implies that she has a private practice, right?
Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, all of it. I never have. And I tried to negotiate with insurance companies to get better payments, and that was just impossible.
Was it you doing it as an individual, or did you have a group of local people that you were working with in the same specialty?
I hired consultants and paid a lot of money to do that. And
people that you were working with in the same specialty?
I hired consultants and paid a lot of money to do that. And so frustrating, how this works, that in the same zip code, like I can find out what other doctors are paid for the same surgery that I'm doing, and I'm underpaid in my zip.
How is she underpaid? Doesn't she pay herself? Or is she just underpaid because her business collects more money because she owns the business? I don't understand that. Am I retarded? Why doesn't she just pay herself? By insurance? So is she saying that the compensation for these types of surgeries are lower, or? I don't understand that. Why would she be paid less than other doctors in the same zip code if it's for the same type of surgery? Or she's saying it's practice by practice is different?
Zip code, and they just don't. They don't.
And is that
care.
because you're out of network, or what's leading
no.
you to be paid less than them?
I'm in network for everything.
So then what is the reason for the disparity?
It's just so there's no transparency.
So how are you able to find out?
Fairhealth.gov.
And
through health.gov? Is that what she said? How do you find out? Does health.gov tell you, or?
what is the reason for the disparity?
It's just so there's no transparency.
So how are you able to find out?
Fairhealth.gov.
And
Fairhealth.gov? Is that what it is?
And when you're finding that out, do you have a reason why they're earning different sums for reimbursements?
No, and that's still quite an important question that all doctors need to be asking. Like, why is it that in the same zip code that a doctor, maybe even with less experience than I have, is paid 30% more than I am?
Is it
for what? For per surgery, or overall, or per, like, in the same thing, or? Oh, fairhealth.org? Okay. Okay.
due to a bargaining power of a group that they're part of?
It seems arbitrary almost. But certainly what we're learning is that with more consolidation of groups, that those groups get better rates and the facilities and all of that. And that's part of the...
Well, that's why a lot of the solo practice offices are closing left, right, and center, even in primary care.
Yeah.
The idea of a family medicine doctor having their own practice doesn't really exist anymore. It's all group practices, largely because of the administrative burden required to do the negotiating, to do the arguing, the billing, the coding.
And that sucks. And so this is why when people say that, like, oh, like dealing with insurance sucks because you have to do all the negotiating, sure, that could be the case. But like, dealing with law firms sucks. And there's a way that you can avoid, you don't ever have to deal with a law firm, no matter what business you work in, if you don't want to, by having your own in-house legal staff. But like, that's going to be a whole cost in and of itself. Like, you don't have to deal with all these insurance companies on that shit if you want to. Technically, every doctor today, I think, has that ability. They can just only accept payments from individuals and have their own in-house payment processor, in-house insurance, in-house, loan office if they want to. But I mean, like, that's going to also be like a whole other set of bullshit that you might have to deal with. I don't know if it'd be more complicated or less complicated. I'm not sure. I don't, but
it takes the doctor's focus away from the art and science of practicing medicine, and instead puts more emphasis on the art and science of making sure your notes are good and making sure you can negotiate and upcode liberally.
Yeah. I mean, gosh. So my dad was a doctor. He was an allergist in a small town. So I grew up around medicine. My mom's a nurse. And I really think that what you're describing is a phenomenon that's happened, in the last 15 years. It's really been since the Affordable Care Act and the vertical integration and consolidation in medicine. And before the Affordable Care Act, 75% of physicians.
I don't know how I feel about like private practices. Are these, is there like a consensus opinion? I shouldn't ask you fuckers about anything related to healthcare. I feel like it's better to have all the resources like shared. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, would a private practice have like an x-ray machine? And then if that was the case, are there hours where that x-ray machine is just sitting unused because that particular private practice doesn't have any patients that day, where like if it was just at a hospital, like you could be getting more use out of a lot of these things? I don't know.
Were self-employed, and now 75% of physicians are employed by large entities. And I mean, we're losing.
Oh, if you want her response to the letter, she denied making an error. I recently shared a video after I was asked to call United Healthcare from the operating room to answer administrative questions about the patient who was having surgery to treat breast cancer. Ooh, she changed this to passive. I was asked to call United Healthcare from the operating. She didn't say who asked her, so it could have been her own person now, right? Okay. Despite my efforts, they denied her stay. Having surgery. Okay. I spoke up because it's simply gone too far. I'm sharing United Healthcare's letter to me and it's entirely, I'll let it speak for herself. My words were true and the situation was absurd. I followed all safety protocols. My patient was with my co-surgeon who continued operating. I had requested an overnight stay for medical reasons. This was not an error on my part. The overnight stay sounds like the observational stay that they'd already approved, though, unless the gaslighting and harassment in the letter, which United sent me, has not worked to do anything other than strengthen my resolve. I will continue to speak honestly, clearly, and plainly about the state of health. I mean, if she's already $5 million in debt, she might as well fucking keep digging, huh? Based. Destiny, all die on this hill. Multi-specialty groups and academic centers provide better care because there's more expertise under one roof. But a lot of groups run by private equity drastically underpay doctors and demand they see more and more patients. Multi-specialty groups and academic centers provide better healthcare. Okay. Yeah, that's what I would think. Like the private practice stuff is okay for like TRT or for eye shit maybe. But I don't know.
Losing that personal aspect. We're losing the magic of medicine where no matter what decision I make, I'm always going to be like thinking about the best health of my patient. Right? I don't have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders in my practice to maximize the income from this encounter.
That's such a fucking lie, unless I'm understanding this wrong. You have actually, I feel like she has an even worse thing because she's the owner of her practice, no? Like, couldn't you argue that your incentives are even more misaligned here? That you are directly, personally incentivized to upsell the most amount, probably more than a doctor at a hospital would be, no? Like you are them. You are the shareholder, right? No? I don't know.
But when you have...
I mean, well, the flip side argument to that could be, actually, if I choose to run my business in a more ethical way, I have the option to do that. I don't have somebody else forcing me to do it. You could make that argument on her end, right? Which actually, that would be a fair argument. Like, I could say, well, I own my business, Destiny GG, independently, so I don't have an obligation to do weird shit. And then somebody say, Destiny, you are the shareholder, so doesn't that mean you have every incentive to? It's like, yeah, but if I decide not to like accept like gambling sponsors or whatever, theoretically, owners could make me do that, but I don't know. So I guess I could go either way, maybe.
Huge companies.
Although I feel like I would be really nervous though if my doctor was recommending me, there were like 3 surgeries and they were recommending the most expensive one. And then I found out that my doctor owned the private practice I was in and that they're $5 million in debt. I don't know if I would trust that recommendation. I don't know.
Now controlling the strings, we've seen this experiment for 15 years and we're living the result. And we actually, it doesn't just feel wrong. We now have data to say it doesn't work. Vertical integration isn't helping us take better care of patients. It's not making more equitable, health policies. It's not even decreasing the price per capita. All the things that they said it would do, it's not doing.
Right.
So
my impression is always just that more like private practices are always like for bougie rich people. Is she making the opposite argument? This is a total vibes-based feeling. But I thought that like the everyman, the normal human being goes to like a hospital, and if you go to like private practice, that's usually like bougie shit. Like you're either going to be paying more, it's going to be for more kind of maybe not covered by insurance stuff, or like more expensive insurance stuff. That was my impression. Maybe that's not the same for all practices. I don't know.
So
it's increasing profits.
Oh yes.
And creating multi-billion-dollar businesses.
Right, and then these huge industries that are paying themselves. Right, so the whole fact that
we should probably
but you're also paying yourself, right?
We also jump in because I know what you're talking about with horizontal versus vertical integration. You have companies from a horizontal standpoint. Let's say one pharmacy is taking over a branch of other pharmacies. That's considered horizontal. But then you also have vertical consolidation where you have an insurer buying a pharmacy, buying a PBM, buying a medical practice, and then essentially doctors. Yeah. And that vertical consolidation ends up becoming harmful largely because of the lack of competition. They essentially start squeezing out their competition through financial pressure.
I hate vertical. I just don't think we care about vertical monopolies anymore in the U.S. Like that just seems to be a base thing now. We like that like Chrome owns the phone, the operating system, the advertising network, your email. We just don't give a fuck about that anymore. However, like to all of these fucking retards' point, like they're saying like vertical integration is bad, but when that list got posted of who denied or accepted the most claims, everybody was jerking off. Was it Cigna? They were like, oh my God, these guys never deny claims. But the reason why is because like, I'm pretty sure they are like insanely vertically integrated with all of their insurance and hospitals and shit. Like they own it all, right? So if you get like a referral for like from your Cigna or whatever insurance, or was it Kaiser? It might be Kaiser, not Cigna. It might be Kaiser actually. If you get a referral from your Kaiser insurance company to like a Kaiser pharmacy, it's in a Kaiser hospital with like a fucking Kaiser doctor in like the employment city owned by Kaiser in the country of like Kaiserstan. And it's like, yeah, these guys never reject anything because they literally own the whole fucking thing. So then everybody's like circle jerking Kaiser for their lack of denials, but it's like, well, but is that even a good thing that the lack of denials is there? Like there could be other issues with it,
through poor agreements and bargaining, and it's a mess. And where I've seen it be the worst type of mess, where it's so clear that it's unethical, is in the PBM world. These pharmacy benefit managers that were initially started as a way to save us money, and that was the premise that was sold to us as the public, and we were like, cheers, yay, they're going to save us money per prescription. And then it started being a business where they said, okay, if we save you $2, we'll take $1. And then through vertical consolidation, they became part of the problem, essentially fake saving you money, but essentially making money for themselves, where they're now worth billions of dollars.
Correct.
The company that, to put an analogy that most people understand, the coupon company has become $1 billion company.
And that's not regulated. No transparency. And none of the federal regulations that apply to the insurance company, the mother company, apply to that company.
There's just no way that's true. I just automatically don't believe her. But she's also lied so much and already been shady as fuck about so much other things. I don't believe that. That like you can just magically outsource all of your liability, have no regulation if you just have. I don't know.
So I mean, I think to add to that, there's also the sort of 85-15 rule that was interjected with the ACA.
I thought it was 80-20, but she's right. It is 85-15 for paying out.
Insurance company is supposed to spend 85% of premiums on healthcare and quality improvement. So like on taking care of you, and that other 15% goes to wherever they want it to go, if it's to shareholders or CEOs or whatever. So one of the ways that vertical integration has been gamed is that they're now paying themselves, right? So to get into that 85%, they can say, okay, the cost of this drug is part of the cost of care for the patient, but they're actually just moving money from the right pocket to the left pocket.
Exactly.
Right, so it's cost, but
what if they have to buy the drug? That is an expense, is it not? I don't understand.
They never left the bank.
Yeah.
And all the while, if they can make the whole pizza bigger, the whole pie bigger, then that 15% on the top, that's how you get someone, at United who's making $64 million this year. Because if you can make the whole pie bigger, then that 15% is sweet. And the rest of us have to deal with the fact that we've just increased the cost of healthcare.
Well, it probably has more to do with the fact that the United Healthcare insured why the number 80 million is popping in my mind, but that's not true. It's just because she said 80-20 or 85-15. It's probably because it's a huge fucking insurance company, right?
To make them more money.
Right. And that cost is sometimes hidden pretty well because they'll move it around from your monthly premium to your deductible to your copay. And you might say, oh, well, my annual amount that I'm spending on the monthly premium isn't that much different. Yeah, but now you're paying double the amount when you go see the doctor. Now,
that's called your plan. Like what? That's just your healthcare plan. sick life hack, guys. Did you know that if you double your deductible, your premiums go down? Like, yes, that's called buying insurance.
When you have a major surgery, the cost that you have to incur on your own is much higher. And when they do that, they create really good press hits surrounding it, where they say, well, look, premiums didn't go up. Well, what about all the other things that you've packaged into it?
Correct.
And I see that not just as a physician, but probably I learned more about it running a small business in paying insurance for the employees of our company, where I look at the cost, I'm like, oh my God, how do people afford this?
Yeah.
The cost has become absolutely astronomical. And I'm curious how that plays into you running your business and how it changes the way you take care of your patients.
Gosh. Okay. So, I mean, at the heart of it, I always try to just do the right thing. I mean, I do. And that's where I'm not trying to game the business and I'm not trying to make more and more money, but
you're trying to do the right thing health-wise for your patients.
Right.
Versus some of these private equity owned industries are thinking about the profits, and the doctors and the clinicians are thinking about the patients.
Totally.
And it creates this tension that even, I don't know if you watch the show The Pit on HBO. You see that where, he's saying, we're taking care of patients, we're doing the best we can. It's like, you need to increase satisfaction.
Is your stance that both of these doctors are just lying? I know that it's really, really hard for you when I say that there's issues all over the place and the only thing you hear is, oh my God, since he's not agreeing 100% with me, he must be pointed 100% the other direction. I don't think that either of them are necessarily lying. It's just that people dramatically upplay one actor and then downplay every other actor involved, right? So like right now, they're saying that like these pharmaceutical companies or not the pharmaceuticals, the med group or whatever, the insurance companies are so fucking rigged and horrible. Okay, well, why not? If she has a private practice, why not just charge her patients a whole bunch less money? And it's like, well, that's naive. They still have to buy the equipment. Okay, well, why can't the equipment makers just charge less money? Are you saying they're greedy too? And it's like, okay, well, maybe not the equipment, but like the drugs will cost too much. Like I thought that was because of insurance. What if they just do all of it cash? Are they part of the problem too? Like the problems are everywhere. Everything in healthcare is absurdly fucking expensive. Partially for okay reasons and partially for retarded reasons, maybe. But like it's really complicated. There's a lot of players involved. All of them are highly compensated. All of them make a fuck ton of money. There's like supply constraints. There's market problems involved in all these stages. So to just point to one person, and go, that's the person to blame, is fucking retarded. That's all I'm saying.
You need to increase the amount of patients seen per hour. And it's like, well, do you want us to deliver good care or do you want us to see more patients?
Listen, do we want more money and higher throughput or do we want quality?
Right.
And we just haven't decided as a country what we're...
Like, even these statements are dumb. I understand why Dr. Mike is saying it. I understand why this lady's saying it. But when they're saying like, do you want us to see more patients or do you want us to give more quality care to some patients? Quality, and it's actually so funny they say this because like when you're evaluating like the efficacy of a drug, things like how likely a patient is to take a drug are part of the quality evaluation, right? Let's say that you can take one pill and it has like a 80% effective rate, or there's like a pill that you can take twice a day for 3 weeks, and if you do the entire time, it's got like an 85% effective rate. You wouldn't automatically say the 85% pill is better because you would have to measure, like through clinical trials, well, how likely are patients to stick on this entire treatment plan to the end? And if it turns out that like half the patients drop and then the effectiveness drops like 40%, well, then you go with the 80% effective drug, right? Quality is not just a matter of like how much care can you give to one person. It is also a matter, like it or not, of how many patients can you see, right? There might be like the best quality you give to a single patient, or you could see 10 patients in a country. Well, when the resources are limited, it might be better to see 10 patients or have higher throughput versus just spending all your time on one person. Your healthcare outcomes for the entire country and the aggregate increase. Your healthcare outcomes for the 9 people that get seen instead of just the one person getting seen, all of their healthcare outcomes increase, right? But these questions are, people don't like evaluate sometimes the scarcity of resources that exist like peripherally to them when they're answering these questions, you know?
Going after,
right.
we spent the last 15 years going after, money and numbers, right? How do we get more efficient? How do we see more patients? How do we do more cases in a day? And it's just demoralizing. And that's where all of that, that moral injury for physician.
Like, yeah, I mean, like unfortunately, that's part of the calculation. If we had unlimited resources, then this is a legitimate thing. But when your resources are limited, sorry, it sucks, but.
Comes into play. Even talking with physicians who work as within insurance companies doing peer-to-peers. So I've had some private conversations with folks doing that, and they say that's exactly what it is. It's like, I have to do 20 of these a day, and I'm only judged on how quickly and how quickly I can get this off the plate. I don't have time to dig in and look at the data, right? If I'm doing a peer-to-peer call on, say, a breast reconstruction case, there's no way that I'm going to actually inform myself about that. They just want me to deny it and move on. And if I approve it, then someone leans on me. So yeah, I mean, I just think across the board that we have, like in in chemistry where you have the equilibrium.
Yep.
You know, Le Chatelier, right? Le Chatelier principle, like where it's like the balance.
That's
it's like
taking
way
me back to a place where I don't want to go.
I know. But I feel like we have this equilibrium and we're supposed to have a good position where we have, you know, it's America. We have the business of medicine and we have healthcare, like the providers. And we want the patients to be somewhere on this balance where they're getting great care and also, you know, the industry is healthy and the workforce is healthy and they're well paid and all of that. But we're so far away from giving good care and so heavily towards making money for insurance companies that we've lost it. Like we have to reset in a different place, and that is going to be so painful for the industry.
Yeah, very painful.
We can see the profitability of like all the industries. It's just repeated as a truism. People used to do the same thing with airlines. I don't know if they still do. These are just not profitable. They're not really that profitable compared to any other industry in the United States. Like if you ask the average person, they would assume, oh fuck, healthcare, hospitals, pharmaceuticals, these guys must make crazy profits. Not really. I think they tend to be a bit lower on average when you do like the risk adjustment return for it. Like are there a few companies that are very profitable? Yeah, but that's because there's like a graveyard full of companies that all failed to patent their drug or succeed in their thing that went bankrupt. Same thing with like airlines, right? Like airlines are not very profitable either. Yeah, it's just like there's just not the money here that you would expect there to be if it was such an unbelievably profitable industry.
Painful. And they're smart in the sense of they're doing it in a way where most people don't see it. They'll create these roadblocks that seem really reasonable. Oh, we're preventing fraud, abuse of the system. And that's reasonable. We should do that. That's good. Let's not have fraud and abuse of the system. We've seen issues.
I would kill myself if I worked in healthcare. As like if I was like an owner class with in healthcare and I'm watching these two guys talk on YouTube with Google, where like these are the highest like price to earnings share ratios of any stock like in the history of all of mankind and fucking tech. Our entire S&P 500 is carried by like 6 or 7 companies because people can fucking jerk off while they do AI porn. And they're like, I think that the people in healthcare are making way too much money. Like meanwhile, Elon Musk, first man approaching $1 trillion net worth. Like who are all of these crazy people in society, the wealthiest people in society? Jeff Bezos did healthcare, right? Oh no, it was tech. Elon Musk kind of did healthcare. No, that was tech. Zuckerberg, oh no, that was tech. The guy in NVIDIA, oh no, that was tech. Like, where are all of these like $1 trillion worth healthcare CEOs? Like, gee, this is not the industry for it. It's just not true.
With huge cases of people abusing Medicare, Medicaid, millions of dollars.
Like, Mark Cuban is a guy who is a billionaire elsewhere and now is sinking money into healthcare to try to make money here. Like, it's such a dog shit. It's such a dog shit industry if you're trying to like fucking generate a fuck ton of cash.
Fraudulent screening programs that end up getting people procedures they don't need. Well, when they're creating these roadblocks, they're creating them to decrease spending, not to eliminate abuse. Because if you see who's getting rejected, for every one abuse case, I mean, there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands, of cases that are rejected simply as a cost-saving measure. And I remember this from a TV show I used to watch on Showtime.
Like, when they say cost-saving measure, what do they mean there? Like, I would be surprised if I was wrong. Somebody can email me or tell me if I'm wrong. If you're an insurance company, you don't reject somebody because you're saving on costs. It's probably because they don't meet the criteria for the plan that they're on. And that's the thing that you can see when you sign up for plans. Now, I'm sure there is some fucker. I'm sure some stuff happens. It doesn't ever. I'm sure there's some like bad shit that happens. But I will say it's highly sus that there are so many of these cases that like blow up publicly. And every time you dig into them, it's like never as simple as the person. Like even this lady's story that we just dug into. Now, to be fair, I'm reading into the cease and desist letter sent by the healthcare company. That cease and desist letter could be a giant fucking lie. Maybe they're lying about every part of that interaction. Although based on her conduct so far, I'm more likely to agree with the other side of the story than this, especially because she changed up her language a bit when responding in that Instagram story. But they still could be lying significantly about it. Yeah.
House of Lies, where they were marketers. And they said, oh, hey, we'll get this promotion that will give people a rebate off of your product. And people will be so happy. But by the way, we know that most people won't go through the hoops required to do it. And then we'll deny the first set of them. And then the second set, only 1% will end up converting. So you're going to save a whole ton of money.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to say. There's like, right, it's the fact that only 1% of denials are appealed.
Yep.
So say you want to decrease fraud and abuse. Well, they're not just decreasing fraud and abuse. They're denying everything.
Yep.
The good stuff
and even when the things are appealed, over 50% are.
I don't even know what that means. Wait, hold on.
Denials are
go through the hoops required to do it, and then we'll deny the first set of them, and then the second set, only 1% will end up converting. So you're going to save a whole ton of money.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to say. There's like, right, it's the fact that only 1% of denials are appealed.
Yep.
I don't know what that is referring to, because my understanding for like pre-auths is like 70% of these denials are appealed, and then usually won because it's either a coding issue or they make you appeal every single one, and then usually you win if you put any information in, or I don't know which thing in particular she's talking about there, but.
So say you want to decrease fraud and abuse. Well, they're not just decreasing fraud and abuse. They're denying everything.
Yep.
The good stuff
and even
the
when
bad
the things
stuff
are appealed, over 50% are denied.
Again, so that's baked in to the business plan.
Yeah.
right?
I've seen some stats from the Kaiser Foundation where like 18, 19% of in-network insurers are denying cases, claims, et cetera. And then out-of-network, it gets up to double, even more than 37, 38%. Think about the number of that. That's over 3 out of 10 claims are being denied. And while certain insurers say, well, it's better for us, ours are lower, I don't see that happening as a person who deals with it holistically on a large scale. I don't know if you do.
Just back it up and think about this. Like, we have people paying their hard-earned money for premiums because they expect that their risk is being reduced in some way. They're being taken care of in some way. And 20% of the time, they're being denied. Like, and what is the reason for denial? It's usually administrative or other.
Yeah.
They're backed that their risk is being reduced in some way. They're being taken care of in some way. And 20% of the time, they're being denied. Like, and what is the reason for denial? It's usually administrative or other.
Yeah.
It's not medical necessity. It's administrative or other. It's a technicality.
Yeah. And
well, what does that mean? Why don't they ever bring anybody up that works in any of these companies too to talk on these programs? It really makes you wonder.
They thrive on that technicality.
Right. And I think it also, when you think about businesses that are this large, if they can...
As a physician, anytime medicine is brought up in this chat or by Destiny, I have to cringe and log off. I can't help but think maybe this is how financial experts / other experts feel when he says stupid shit about their profession. Mister, your name is psychiatry, so you're already, one, a fake doctor. Every medication you prescribe is barely beating placebo, and you probably have a private practice, plus you're probably bald, plus you're probably rich, plus you're probably white. You know what you need to do.
Dial up and down the expenditure, right? If they can deny enough, where they know what the inputs and outputs are, right? That's helpful to them. It doesn't, it's more predictable as a company. It's also like, the accounting in these companies, you just have to wonder.
Bring them on. Hey, yeah, you want to hop on? Then hop away.
Like, they're just moving money around with all the different...
Or hop on.
Vertically integrated components. And in an insurance company, you have to have reserves too, so you take out of the reserves. And it's very complicated. It's not resulted in better care for Americans in the last 15 years. And we were sold that, right? There was a big study in 2008 that looked at, it was called like the triple aim in healthcare. And it was this revolutionary idea that, okay, now to have good healthcare, to have a good health industry, we're going to have to address, these 3 components. And they were like, let's see, cost per capita, the patient experience, and patient experience of care.
We'll fill it in.
Okay, sorry. So basically, it led to us doing vertical integration, right? It was like, this is the reason why we need to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so come 2022, and they're like, oh, darn, that actually didn't work at all. And now they've added in, we actually need to look at health equity, and we need to look at the workforce health, because we didn't think about that before.
The doctors, we need more money.
And we've set ourselves on a course that we're crashing. And then in 2022, Congress asked for the Rand Corporation to look really hard at that, and they did the study that's
True.
so dry.
I need to lean into the dog shit arguments more. At Destiny, how come there are so many celebrity doctors, but no celebrity insurance professionals or insurance influencers? True. See? Absolutely true.
And so boring to read, but so eye-opening, because it's like, oh, let's look and see. Did insurance company consolidation help health outcomes? Looks like it didn't. Okay, let's look at physician ownership by insurance companies. Did that help lower costs? Looks like it didn't. And they just go dispassionately through all these things, and it actually hasn't helped. So can we just admit it, that this whole creating monopolies of insurance companies has not helped us, and we need reform, and I think we need competition and transparency.
Yeah, all important factors. And I want to get back to your...
Now, notice what she said there. It's really funny. It's like when conservatives want to argue about like lab leak, and they're like, actually, China covered it up, leaking from the lab, and that's why they say, or leaking from the lab, and that's why they wanted to be the wet market. And it's like, no, China says it came from the United States. You're fucking retarded, okay? Now everybody in chat is like, oh, this lady must want single-payer healthcare for the United States. No, she absolutely doesn't. Notice how she's saying monopolies are bad, so what's the solution? It wasn't single-payer. She said we need even more insurance companies so we can kick up the competition so that I can rip them off in my private practice. I'm sorry, I love you. I love you so much, okay? I have doctors in chat and in my DMs and one emailing me that are all very upset at me right now, okay? I love all of you so much, okay? Trust me, there will be a day when I shut on the insurance people too, okay? I love all of you.
And I think we need competition and transparency.
Yeah, all important factors. And I want to get back to your story. So you wanted to open up this practice that was doing things the right way, working with all insurers, perhaps pro bono at times. What was the journey like starting it? Troubles, issues, hurdles that you faced along the...
Yeah, I mean, I think, just the funding for it, that was hard. It's hard to start a practice, a solo practice. But I think when you take excellent care of patients, like the money was coming in, and I do a lot of volume because I take care of about 40% of the women in Central Texas with breast cancer. I mean, it's just, I do 20 cases a week. See, in a normal week, just me in clinic, I'll see 60 patients, and that's on 2 days. I do about 500 cases a year. So like just in volume, it did a couple things. It made me excellent.
500 a year. Like How long does it take to do a breast surgery? Probably like 30 minutes. So this lady clocks in for 2 hours and walks out, and we're supposed to feel sorry for her? Come on.
So there are great things about doing a lot of work. It made me take deep flap surgery from a surgery that took me 12 hours to taking me 4. Right? So like I love that, and I'm all about.
Yeah, I can do it in 15. Good job, necrotics. You should become the next.
And that's on 2 days. I do about 500 cases a year. So like just in volume, it did a couple things. It made me excellent. So there are great things about doing a lot of work. It made me take deep flap surgery from a surgery that took me 12 hours to taking me 4. Right? So like I love that, and I'm all about efficiency and safety for patients.
And that improves safety because less time under anesthesia is
1,000%. Yeah. And I would never have been able to do that if I had been cherry picking only the cases that paid me a lot. So by taking care of so many people, I was able to like get better at this. So it seemed okay. It was okay for the first 5 years, and then reimbursements just started to go down and down and down. And then there was a big reimbursement change where
they made the code the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. I love you and I cherish all my doctor friends and all of you. Okay. I'm sorry, but she was able to reduce the time it took her. Hold on. You know what? I'm actually going to switch, because here I was attacking everybody. Okay. But now I'm actually going to defend the insurance companies. This is why, in some ways, insurance companies can provide value to patients. You're not hearing what she's saying, okay?
It's okay.
She was able to do a surgery because she got so much practice with it. She was able to cut this surgery's time by 70%. She said a surgery took her 12 hours or whatever, she could do now in 3 hours, right? She was cutting the time of that surgery by 2 or 3 quarters, okay, in time. And then after, she said, and then the reimbursements started to get lower and lower. Yeah, why would you, if you're becoming more efficient at the operation and you could do it 10 times faster than you could before, why would the compensation be the exact same? It seems like this is an area we could probably save some fucking money. But if you were patient, you wouldn't think about that. But because of the brave heroes at places like United Healthcare, the brave heroes working in insurance claims, they were able to look at that and they would go, you know what? This chick told us that she needed to make so much money because of how timely the surgery costs. Now we notice she's booking 2 or 3 of these motherfuckers a day. I think this motherfucker is pulling one over on us. We can probably charge less for this thing and then save our customers money, because we know how good that is for the average insurance consumer. God bless.
It was okay for the first 5 years, and then reimbursements just started to go down and down.
Like, yeah, of course reimbursements are going to go down. You got to do the same surgery for 5 years at 1/4 the speed?
Down. And then there was a big reimbursement change where
they made the code the same.
Yeah, they made the code the same. And that's when I first stepped into kind of advocacy and wound up in DC, just saying this is ridiculous. That's also when I first felt like, are you guys kidding me? I'm a doctor.
What did it shift to?
I need that quote. And this is what all of you say. Where's that guy in my chat? Are you guys kidding me? I'm a doctor. It's like, sir, you raped that 7-year-old child. I'm a doctor. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
And and how did that impact percentage-wise your practice?
Okay, so the reimbursement cut was like over 50%. And
yeah, that's not surprising. You're doing the surgery 1/4 the time. And you know what? I bet all of the peripheral technologies, I bet they all got cheaper too. I bet they did.
And the danger was that it would be cut to 10%, so by 90%.
Wow.
Yeah. And we know that.
What was last
10%. We're 50%. And the danger was that it would be cut to 10%, so by 90%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we know that.
And what was the initial coding for that then looped in your new code as well, or your previously new code?
So it was a CPT code 19364, and that code says breast reconstruction, and it includes any free flap, and it could be a surgery that takes all of a woman's muscle or one that's super elegant and leaves her able to use her muscle, right? It just didn't recognize the difference between those things. And then the other code was an S code, S2068, and that was the code for the very elegant surgery. So when the societies decided to combine those codes together, and they actually put under the descriptor for 19364, they included like all of the elegant things and the garbage things, and the reimbursement stayed at the garbage rate. Right. And I'm like, why are you doing this?
What was the major organization's reasoning for making the change?
You would have to ask.
Did they put out any statements about it, or?
I would say that was a very difficult couple of years. And there were some meetings that were very difficult. And I think that today that the American Society of Plastic Surgeons has evolved from the place where they were when they agreed to that coding change with the AMA. But I still have a lot of strong feelings about the fact that it ever happened. And they never allowed the code to be, like, they still haven't recommended that the code be rewritten. They've just...
Apparently this S2, did she say S2098? And for CPT 19364, apparently the S code billing allowed you to get 101% higher compensation than the other billing. So apparently they combined them because they felt like it was, this is for Massachusetts. Using the Massachusetts all-payer claims database between 2016 and 2020, patients who underwent microsurgical breast reconstruction following mastectomy for cancer were identified. Multivariable logistic regression was used to test whether an S2068 claim was associated with insurance type and median household income by patient zip code ratio. Insurance is calculated for providing products. I don't know if this is good or bad. I can't. I would need to read way more to know who to side with here. But by default, I would side with the insurance companies because I love them. UHC check. Hold on. Oh, 304. Oh my God. Look at this. Wait, was this another 12 points today? Oh, just let's go. The AMA approved of the change. That's doctors. Excuse me, the AMA might have approved the change, but she wasn't talking about the AMA. She said the Association of Plastic Surgeons, okay? Her specialty group, all right?
Allowed for the...
Oh, that's from yesterday, fuck, because it's Saturday, my bad.
...existence of an option. That world is very dark. The world of the CPT code and the AMA is very dark. And, I mean, by the way, the coding book is, you know, it's published by United. It's Optum and the AMA. And the AMA makes, what, $200 or $300 million a year on that? There's a vested interest in continuing that.
The what?
It's what, 200? You know, it's published by United. It's Optum and the AMA. And the AMA makes, what, $200 or $300 million a year on that?
Ooh, now the AMA is the enemy as well. Oh no, she's going after everybody. Fuck.
There's a vested interest in continuing that status quo there. So, I mean, we could have a conversation about RVUs and how doctors are not, I mean, that it's broken, but people are heavily invested in the status quo.
From a lobbying perspective.
Lobbying, but also just the existence of, I mean, we're locked into a system currently with RVUs that doesn't value physician work. Like, all it values is, for me as a surgeon, like the time in the operating room, like the malpractice and the overhead. It doesn't.
But what about the care and the love? Like, sometimes when I do surgery on a patient, I want to give them a Hershey bar afterwards or write a cute note saying thank you for all the money.
It doesn't reward me for doing surgeries that have better patient outcomes. Like, the patient is even factored in. It's that system, and for folks who don't do procedures.
Yeah, for us in primary care, it's strictly numbers. It's a quota game.
It's ridiculous. I mean, for my...
I could be totally wrong here, totally outside my thing. Fuck, what does this remind me of? There's a thing this reminds me of. Evaluating for patient outcomes in some ways could be very, very, very bad because it might incentivize you to only treat certain types of patients. So, like, I believe, I think that, like, Cuba has some of the best patient outcomes in the world when it comes to, like, childhood health and everything, or like babies that are just delivered and shit. But it's because they have an absurdly high abortion rate. It is insane how high it's like. For every 100 births, they're aborting 73 babies. These are abortion factories, okay, in Cuba, but their healthcare outcomes are really fucking good for a lot of, like, birth-related shit. So it'd be nice if there was some way to evaluate, like, a better surgeon should get paid more. But if you're evaluating just based on outcomes, you'd have to account for so many inputs. Otherwise, like, I'm not going to operate on some fucking poor. I'm not operating on an old person, right? What, and fuck my numbers up? Hell no. Like, I'm only going to take young, healthy people or people with the least amount of is it comorbidities or something else, like risk factors for, you know, things going wrong after surgery. Like, I feel like that could lead to bad things, you know?
My dad was an allergist. It's like, really, you guys, you're thinking about really complicated things. You're spending a lot of time meeting with people who have a lot of complicated intersecting systems at once. This is why concierge medicine happened.
Of course.
Right? And that makes complete sense to me because you get what you value. We set a system in place that doesn't value that physician work. And so everybody's played the game. All of us. right? We're trying not to. And I mean, physicians everywhere are fighting it. And we're trying to still provide care. But you can't not pay physicians and expect that patients are going to get great care. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Well, once the incentives change, you're just pushing people away from performing good work.
Or being doctors at all.
Yeah,
And now we're going
that's
to have a
true.
shortage.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just play it out, right? We will learn a lesson. Will we learn from the lesson? I don't know. But I think we're all in the middle of learning a lesson about healthcare in the U.S. It's ugly.
Yeah. So you were saying that it's not just
Like, I'm pretty sure American doctors get paid more than every doctor in the world. Like, any doctor that works, like, wants to come to the United States. Like, if you're a doctor and you work like in the UK or someplace in Europe, if you look up what traveling nurses make in the United States, you will kill yourself. It's like, well, our healthcare, everybody in our system gets paid a lot of fucking money.
just the lobbying efforts of RVUs. You were saying that there's more involved on the back end from these CPT codes and the AMA's role in this.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but having spent a year and a half of my life advocating for a coding change, I spent a lot of time in DC and heard a lot of stories and saw, I wanted the right thing for patients. It was clear that we needed to reimburse appropriately for surgeries that helped patients. And we're talking about women with breast cancer. People on both sides of the aisle agreed. And it always came down to money and the codes. Always. The government was like, we won't price fix, we won't price set. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys do that all the time. You put a number on it. Say what's too little to pay and what's too much to pay. Like, don't overpay, but don't underpay.
Right.
And then, the CPT system, that editorial panel and the way it works is just so broken. I mean, sending out a survey to 40 surgeons in the United States asking, do you perform deep flaps, just like randomly to plastic surgeons, and how much time does it take you? Like, this is not science. This is not the way that you come up with a system that rewards or that guides reimbursement.
So the differences between the codes as how they used to exist, if you could lay that out in a simple way for me, this code represented this type of procedure, this code represented a higher level of procedure. Why was that considered higher level? What benefit did it give to patient? And what has now been taken away by grouping the two codes?
Okay, so simply put, S2068 for deep flap, that describes a code, a surgery that is far better for patients, doesn't leave them like disabled basically by removing their entire rectus muscle, and is better in the healthcare system, right? So we have patients who are using less opiates, less pain issues with surgery. They're not staying in the ICU for multiple days. Their length of stay is not 5 days. It's maybe 1 or 2 or 3, and they're able to thrive, right? They leave this experience of having had breast cancer and reconstruction, and they're able to go and live their life and run a marathon and do what they want to do with their bodies, right? They're not just disabled from the reconstruction. So that surgery, I think the national average reimbursement, I would have to look back at this. I don't want to missay it. I think it was around $20,000 for deep, around that, and it might have been like 15 to 20. The reimbursement rate for 19364, $2,700. Okay, so that reimbursement is honestly, I'd say, if you're taking a woman's muscle and you're doing sort of this barbaric surgery, like I understand not paying a lot for that. I get it.
Now, forgive me for my
Hold up. Does that reimbursement code include all the aspects that you code for a patient stay, or is that just for just the surgery itself? I'm curious. I don't know if there's any way to
ignorance on this. Why are people even performing the worse surgery? It sounds in every aspect worse.
It's easier.
Oh! Which means less training, which means probably on the aggregate, it might be better outcomes because more people can do it. Maybe there's always these trade-offs. And I'm not saying that it's bad to have worse surgeries or that you just should never do better surgeries. But it's just again, as soon as something better becomes available, people view the last thing as cruel and unusual punishment.
The difference is that surgery is easier on the surgeon and harder on the patient. It's not elegant at all. It's not, there's basically, the hardest part of a deep flap surgery is me saving the muscle.
Right.
It's really hard and delicate. And I'm getting right up against these blood vessels and I'm protecting them so that I can save the muscle.
Does it require more advanced equipment? Does it require more advanced training? Is there more risk if things go wrong? Is there more I'm curious what the outcomes for all of this?
In the other surgery, they just cut the muscle out and and the vessel's inside it. So yeah.
Is the field in general moving away from that older procedure?
That's hard to say. Yeah, that's hard to say.
Is that a push that's being made?
We've made that push. And I think in our efforts with coding for that year and a half, we made that case very strongly with the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. And now I think it would be much more common for people to acknowledge the difference between the two. But our specialty has a long way to go.
It's incredible that in a day and age where we have just a superior treatment available, and yet we're saying, well, the other one's cheaper, so we're just going to do that one, when it has worse outcomes. And it seems like every sense of the idea of giving someone medical care.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, this can't be. If I could just make you understand, then we would change it. And so,
but see, this is the issue is that you always sound crazy when you say that just because the latest and greatest thing is available doesn't mean that if you there's like limited resources for the latest thing. Doesn't mean if you have the thing before that, now you're all of a sudden being fucking abused, you know? I think you're getting most of this right, but doctors don't always say the new thing is better. There's plenty of copycat drugs or biosimilars I don't prescribe because the older ones work just as well. The only reason I prescribe something more expensive is if it's leaps and bounds better or avoids some horrible side effect. Sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure there are some things that are just like retarded for sure. But sometimes I think there are significant improvements. But like the last thing is also still like really good. Like if you're a diabetic, if you're a type 1 diabetic and you have like pig insulin, that is leaps and bounds better than having nothing. Where I think you might die in a year or two. If you're a type 1, I think you die in a year or two from the onset of your fuck shit. So like having like base level insulin is, or not base level, but like the pig insulin or whatever that you take twice a day is like leaps and bounds better. But as soon as the next shit becomes available, where you can get like the long lasting one where you inject it once and it's like, it gives you like your basal line and then whatever else, like that is leaps and bounds better than the old shit. But like if that, when it's first invented, when that newer one comes out, people are like, well, if I don't have the newer one immediately, I'm basically being killed because my lifespan is decreased by 10 years because I don't have access. And it's like, well, that's true. But like, hold on, like you're acting like this thing that you got access to, you used to die in 1 to 2 years and now you're not dying for like 40 or 50 years. Now there's a newer one that will keep you alive for almost an ordinary human lifespan. But it's like, if they don't have that latest thing, it's like, fuck. But again, I know every drug's not like this. Like some are marginal improvements or very little improvements. But it's annoying that every single time there is like a new improvement, and like these things are usually more expensive when they first come out. People are like, oh, well, if you don't have access to the newest thing, it's torture. And then also, again, like all of these same exact issues happen in Europe. The fact that like they pretend that European countries have solved this is also not true. Because a lot of, I think for some of these things, like for European countries, like they just don't even have access to the latest and newest thing. So they don't have to, this isn't even like a consideration.
The win that we got at the end of that year and a half was that they kept the existence of the S code. So CMS agreed. The CMS
so it's
said,
like a modifier?
No. So the S2068 exists now. So CMS said, it's a very long and complicated story, but the government got it. And they said, the only thing we can do here is
mandate the existence of the code.
The S code. That's the only one we have control over. The CPT codes, that's up to your society and the American Medical Association. And we do whatever they tell us to do.
What's an example of something Europeans don't have access to? My understanding is there's some like really advanced surgeries that in the US we can do, like same day hip replacements. I don't know if those are available in Europe yet, but I think these are relatively new. But you can do like a same day hip replacement, like it's outpatient surgery. When I was looking up ADHD stuff for medications, what I read was that methylphenidate had been used initially. So this is like Ritalin and Concerta. But when like the amphetamine treatment started to come out, like the Adderalls and the Vyvances, that for some European countries was like a decade behind. And I think in some places they might still not use. Like I think in the United Kingdom, I don't know in the UK if they even prescribe Adderall or if they're allowed to do that yet, or if they still just do methylphenidate. I don't even know if they prescribe that. And if I had ADHD living in the UK, I would hate myself. Not that it's not that it's bad, but like, whew, that would suck. But it would be way better to have access to methylphenidate than have nothing, you know? But like Vyvanse and like other amphetamines are like the newer, cool, you know, all stimulants are banned in Japan. Well, that might be more of a society thing than like a healthcare thing, maybe. In Poland, it's still methylphenidate. Okay.
That's just how it's always worked. So those two organizations would have to agree that that all of these surgeries weren't the same. So it's very, very telling that the AMA and the American Society of Plastic Surgeons wouldn't do that. And so still today in 2025, 19364 describes all of those surgeries. They didn't do what they could. The government did what they could. CMS said, we'll keep this code. Because I made the case to them, we made the case. We just need this option.
What exactly do you think is wrong with our healthcare system that a public option would fix? We can death panel old people. I'm not joking.
The AMA and the ASPS aren't moving. We don't know why. It doesn't make sense. But please,
so when you write them or have meetings with them, what happens?
For the first year and a half, when I first did this, like the first phone call I made to the ASPS, they didn't even know what was going on. Like I sent an email to one of the presidents and he was like, I'm not aware of this issue. I mean, this is a cosmetic surgery society. They didn't know what they were doing. And then I had a lot of meetings and I hired lobbyists myself. And I got surgeons from around the country to call the ASPS and other societies to weigh in and make the case for patients. And we got patients involved. And they started to evolve under pressure, right? But that was not comfortable for me at all. I mean, there may have been a video that circulated of me that was circulated by the ASPS that was labeled disparagement. And it was me talking about this issue on social media where I said that they should do better. And
they circulated in what way?
Via email.
Saying what?
Saying that I was
Oh, that is probably a thing that shouldn't happen either. that's actually one thing that I think is just a complete waste of money. And I would say it's probably, I'm trying to think if there's any reason why I would disagree with this. Advertisements for pharmaceuticals. That I think the United States might be one of the only countries in the world that does this, where drug companies advertise directly to patients. That's really weird. I don't think that should be the case.
Disparaging the American Society of Plastic Surgeons.
Because they were offended. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't agree. So I'm just saying, like, if today they would say, we support deep flaps and we support microsurgery that doesn't hurt a woman's muscle, I will tell you that in 2022 through 2023, they leaned very hard on me to be quiet. I mean, to the point where
Wouldn't it be better to keep the two surgeries codes separate, so the option to have the cheaper option is still there and the better option is still video 20K? And she wouldn't be complaining about tying the two codes together. I don't know why they ultimately decided to tie them together. I would probably need to do a lot more like in-depth research about these codes and why they were marketed the way they were in order to figure out why.
a president of the society showed up at my home.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, yep.
Like threatening?
No, in a very nice way.
And how did that go?
That went.
Wait, what?
Well,
Hold on.
And we support microsurgery that doesn't hurt a woman's muscle. I will tell you that in 2022 through 2023, they leaned very hard on me to be quiet. I mean, to the point where a president of the society showed up at my home.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, yep.
Like threatening?
No, in a very nice way.
And how did that go?
That went, well, yeah. I know bullying when I feel it. And so I stood in my kitchen and my husband was there and one of my dear friends who was also an Olympic athlete. And I just wanted witness.
What is she? What was this, like a shakedown? Like the mob showed up? What?
And she watched. It was me standing my ground for patients. And I made the case. And I just said, I'm not stopping. Like, here I am in my house. Like, I literally was in the kitchen on purpose with a roof leaking into a bucket. And this man who walked in the door with a bottle of champagne. And I'm like, you don't know your audience. Like, I'm all in. I've emptied my bank accounts.
Into your private practice, your private business, but.
And you're bringing me a bottle of champagne telling me to be quiet? Like, this is not resonating.
And the hope was that you'd stay quiet and they would continue doing these codes?
Yeah, there were meetings where they said, we have looked into this and it's not in the interest of our members. This is not in the best interest of our members. And so what they mean is cosmetic surgery, right? They looked at the number of microsurgeons and the number of folks doing breast reconstruction, and we're such a minority in the whole society, right? There's 8,000 members and there's just a couple hundred of us. But my point to them was, but there are patients. If you are going to be my society.
I'm a doctor, God damn it.
Then you have to care about this, right? And so there was a Zoom call where a lot of folks chimed in and weighed in and they laid out their case for why they didn't want to change this code. And it included things like they didn't want to, quote, open up the codes, which means they don't want anyone else. They don't want any other codes to be looked at. So they were protecting all the other codes in plastic surgery.
Like they didn't want to put a precedent in that these codes are
right. They said,
open to modification.
Yeah, they said, whenever they look, if they open up this box of worms, they're going to decrease reimbursement for everybody, not just for you guys. Right? And I was like,
But why would they decrease reimbursement?
Well, their case was that the government does that when they open, historically. But I mean, I think this sounds just like a threat. This just sounds like gaslighting, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the opposite of what would happen.
Correct. Like, and that's the opposite of what actually did happen because I didn't shut up. And I just went another direction. I went straight to CMS and the lobbyists did their job and lots of lots of members of Congress weighed in and were supportive. But no, the society, they had their reasons. And the first time I saw them really come around was when we had our meeting with CMS. And they sat there, I think they saw the fact that I got a meeting with CMS, right? And we had literally thousands of people writing letters and we formed a coalition of nonprofits. They had to show up with a different statement.
And there's no sub-organization that works specifically with breast reconstruction?
No, there's a reconstructive, like the Microsurgery Society. It's really small. And around breast reconstruction, they kind of seem to do what the ASPS told them. Specifically with regard to that surgery, the person who was the president of the society or the former president of the Reconstructive Society was still performing that surgery, the one that removed muscle,
right?
And like advertising it. I mean, that's how much they cared about this issue. It was like, okay, if you're not performing the better surgery,
don't speak for them because we won't say who that individual is. But if I ask them why are you still performing the surgery where there's a better one available? What would be their response?
Do you understand what he's doing here? Right? Is he's nicer than I am, but one of the things I've always said is a big red flag is if somebody can't give you a good faith summary of what the other person is saying, it's always a red flag, right? Like, what is the actual reason why? And he asked that, and she's just saying that it's like, well, they're scared of opening the books and all the corruption, blah, blah. And then he just rephrased it. He's like, okay, well, let's assume that I was talking to that person, and that person was speaking to me, and you don't have to say their name, what would they say, right? Because she wasn't able to answer it before. So now he's like reframing it to try to do it again.
That's the one I know to do.
If I asked them, why are you still performing the surgery where there's a better one available, what would be their response?
That's the one I know to do.
That's what they would say, really? The doctor would say, sorry, I'm fucking retarded, and I'm actually like a trained dolphin at SeaWorld, and this is the trick I've been taught, and I'm too stupid to learn anything else. That would be their response? I'm a doctor. Okay.
Even though it's significantly more harmful for your patient.
I think so. It's so much harder. It's very hard.
Okay. Oh, we're getting a little bit more honest. Okay. So it's not just that, okay, get a little bit more honest. It's a lot harder. Is there more delicate equipment requirements? Are there more people required? Are there more? So it sounds like it's significantly harder, right? Okay.
No, it's significantly more harmful for your patient.
I think so. It's so much harder. It's very hard to do perforator flap surgery. I mean, the focus it takes. But I would say it's better to do nothing than to do a surgery that removes a patient's rectus muscle. It's better to just send them to someone who knows how to do a better surgery.
And I'm surprised that organizations that perhaps are not focused on the reconstructive side of things, Komen, some other breast cancer organizations, they weren't participating in advocacy alongside you?
They were.
Oh, they were.
They got on the coalition. That's how this changed.
Got it.
Yeah, I was talking with the American Cancer Society, Komen, we had a huge coalition of nonprofits. We had patient advocacy. That's social media. That's why this changed.
Got it.
Because I got nowhere with the traditional paths. Nowhere with my society. Instead, I paid for lobbyists and I went to DC.
And how did you said social media, how did you use social media to make this happen?
We just had Instagram Lives and we talked about the issue and introduced it to patients and just said, write your Congress people. And then we made that easy for them. I went to the Hill with patients. It was a huge movement. There were probably, I don't remember the exact number of patients that signed on the letter, but in the breast cancer community, people know that happened nationally. That they were a huge force for change. And that taught me about, the power of the patient and the power of social media.
I have to ask, how does one hire a lobbyist?
Well, I just called them up and they were
1-800 lobbyists? Where do you find a lobbyist?
So, I asked some friends, and a friend who was familiar with the issue said, you should call this person. And I called, and that lobbyist, they were great. And they saw the issue for what it was. And like everybody, they had an experience with breast cancer in their family. And they went to the mat for us.
The real take is that doctors are the problem, not insurance. They just want to shift the blame away because they can't handle following the rules. Yes and no. The problem is everybody, but also I know I can never communicate this, but I just wish that everybody would understand what's going on insofar as that different people can have different incentives and it's okay. And it doesn't have to be good guy, bad guy. So for instance, let's say that at the end of the day, all she really cared about was making more money. Okay. Because she's a greedy doctor. So let's say that she learns this incredibly complicated surgery, and then she goes to lobbyists and she advocates for, pressuring insurance companies or the government or whatever to cover these things or whatever, At the end of the day, she might only be looking after her own ass, and she might have to fight through a bunch of other people to do this. But let's say that she gets all of this approved. Well, if you're somebody and you need to have a major reconstructive surgery, and now you're going into a place, and because of her quote unquote greed, she's managed to secure this higher coding or whatever else, and now you have a surgery that has 100 times better outcomes than the dog show when you're going to have before. It's good, right? It works in the end, right? Doctors advocating on their behalf can produce good results for society. Pharmaceuticals advocating on their behalf could produce good results for society. Insurance companies could be producing good results, right? Insurance companies kind of play price control a little bit. We want the government to set prices on drugs. Insurance companies do this to some extent. Hospitals, every stage can do good and bad things. You just need to understand the role they're playing. And everybody advocates for their own interests. There's not one good side and one bad side, all right? That's all I'm saying.
So they basically get you connections with people who are in charge of making these decisions, the committees, Congress people, senators. Is that how it works generally?
Except for Republicans. They're always on the bad side.
Yeah, well, they got connections with offices and asked for meetings. And then I would show up to DC and go have 20-minute meetings.
And you're not getting compensated for this. I want people to
Oh, no, I'm paying for the privilege, right? I'm paying a lot of money a month for this. It was actually $10,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had the success. You got CMS to hear you out, to make the change. What did that victory feel like for you?
That felt like I breathed a huge sigh of relief because I was afraid that my career and the practice of breast reconstruction for all of these patients was going to come to an end. I really felt like that's where we were going if we couldn't honor patients in this way. We couldn't take care of women. Just this very simple argument. If that wasn't understood at the national level, I thought we were headed for disaster. So I just felt relief. But yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who celebrates well. Like I always like, I'm on to the next. But since that time, I know that that's changed women's lives around the country, and they've told me that, and I've heard from patients, and I'm proud of it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It definitely got me ready for United, because literally, like, I'm not scared. Yeah, that was like a warm up. Yeah, and when United reached out, and I felt those feelings in the moment, yeah, I had all the feelings.
Uh-oh.
But I also had an experience to draw on where I was like, I've been up against somebody before.
I've overcome before.
Yeah, and I know who I am, and I'll take it back. I was scared. But I know how to do this.
Well, if you weren't scared, something was wrong.
Right, but yeah, and it's also like, so I'm glad, and like so many things in life, I'm really glad for the experience that I had advocating and dealing with societies and people who bullied me, right? I'm glad for that experience. It made me stronger, and it made me ready.
This is missing in society quite often. Purpose. But you're like exponentially elevating that purpose. You're showing up for your patients as best as you can to accept all insurers. You're performing procedures pro bono. You're being the best doctor that you can by minimizing time that the surgery needs, how much time the patient's under anesthesia. And then you're like, well, I'm not doing enough. And you're like, I'm going to put my own money in to lobby to get this foundational change to happen. How do you drive yourself to do all this? What's your motive?
Well, there is a massive financial payoff at the end of the day for her as well, because she owns a private practice that specializes in exactly these types of surgeries. Okay? Not to say that's bad. I'm a capitalist. That's based. And at the end of the day, arguably this helps patients, so that's fine too. But can we stop pretending that she's like an actual saint, that this is Mother Teresa, the only one who doesn't have a financial incentive in this? She has a massive financial stake in this.
Motivating principle there.
When you say it, it sounds much more impressive than it feels on the inside, but I think it's just...
Well, I think you should feel it. It's bigger than I'm even saying it.
It's, I feel my sense of purpose deeply. And this is like, this kind of conversation is like this is where my superpowers are, right? Because there is something deep inside me that just says, do the right thing. And I like the hard thing, right? I like finding out who I am. I like the experience of getting uncomfortable and going, like, recognizing that that's an opportunity. And I also know that that's not something that everybody's willing to do. And so that makes it feel like it's a place to make change, right? Because if I'm not willing to do it, who else will be? It's hard to explain. But
How do you develop that moral compass?
Oh my God.
I think that goes back a long way, probably. I think that I listen to patients, and I'm listening to what they need. And they don't just need a good surgery. They need for me to care about their whole path, right? And I do. And so for me to care about patients with breast cancer, I have to care about doing a surgery that's healthier for them. I have to care about insurance too. I have to care about their financial health. I have to care about how, the hormone blockers make them feel. Like, sure, I'm a plastic surgeon, but I'm also just a human trying to lean in as best I can where I've got influence. And that feels good to me. So like I learned somewhere along the way how to, like, in a very meta way, kind of cheer for myself. I didn't do that when I was a kid. I was always motivated to work really hard, but I wasn't like internally proud of myself. I can now look at myself and go, I'm glad you're doing that. I know it's hard. And that sounds really weird, but it's motivating. Like, even in the hard moment, I know who I want to be. And I'm proud of myself for doing the hard things.
If you had to give advice to someone that was listening right now that wants to develop that, is there any tips you can give them?
Gosh, yeah. Get to know yourself. Really get to know what drives you. And don't judge it. Like, just figure it out. When do you feel good? When do you feel like you're in your zone? For me, like, there's specific things that I do every day that get me ready. And figure those things out. I think accepting discomfort, being willing to be in those moments, and looking for opportunity. There's so much of this is about perspective, right? You don't have to go out and seek some experience to do this. Like, just live your life. And in those moments where you feel like there's a challenge, just say to yourself in that moment, what's the opportunity here? Why does the universe keep presenting me with this challenge? What have I not learned yet? How can I get better? How can I make other people better? How do I change the temperature of this room, right? What's the legacy I want to leave? I mean, I literally think about these things all the time, and I'm open with my friends about it and my family. I think maybe even just...
How do they react to it?
They love and respect me now. But I mean, to the point where...
I mean, I hope they loved and respected you before.
No, they do. But I just mean, I think it's what I value, right? Like, when I, spent my savings on lobbying and all of that, or even going up against United,
Nothing about the $5 million investment in her private practice. We're just totally pretending like the only thing... This is like... No, I was gonna say it's like listening to Hassan and how he spends his money, but at least she got something good for patients. At least her self-interest in being a doctor and providing surgeries produces some good for the world, whereas Hassan is strictly just a net negative.
Having conversations where I would say, I'm not going to leave you an inheritance, but I'm going to leave you a legacy. And that sounds like a line, but I mean it. Like I don't have kids. I don't want to leave here with a bunch of money. I want breast reconstruction to be different because I was here.
Sorry.
Now I want healthcare to be different because I was here. I want the way that Americans interact with insurance companies to be different because I was here. So yeah, there were those times when, the nieces or nephews were like, you're never around, and yeah, that's a sacrifice. And, I do need balance just like everybody. But I know that my family is proud of me. Yeah. And that means a lot. I mean, I'm just a kid from Georgia, like my family was very humble, and I've always known what it's, my family means a lot, and where I came from means a lot. So, yeah.
It's hard because you look at yourself as a kid from Georgia. You're much more than that. And you're much more than that to not just your patients, but to people you've never met that you're having an impact on. Have you heard from individuals who've had their lives changed by the procedure that you advocated for?
I have. And that's so heady.
Yeah.
Right? And I would love some advice on how to process that from someone who has this impact around the globe, but I'm just so thankful for that. And it's reinforcement. It helps me know I'm in the right place, and I receive that, and every individual matters. And that it's like, why be on social media? Why even do this? Well, you can affect more people. There are people who need to know. I think I'm good. But there are moments when, like last night, when a comment, maybe it's from a bot, but maybe the universe sent me a bot, to make me feel good. And I'll take it because it felt better,
Well, my fear is, I feel badly when I see the opposite.
Oh, no, don't. If you see the opposite.
Well, no, I'm just saying in a hypothetical.
I know, but I'm just saying from me to you. Like, I just want, if this isn't like my gift to you, it's like, just hear my voice going like, no, just put that one to the side. And I'll delete them. Like, I'll block somebody.
Okay.
I'll block somebody. If they come to my space and insult somebody there,
Ooh.
I mean, no, thank you. No room for that.
We should give listeners some context. 2025 has been a unique year for you, to say the least. Tell us what happened, how this year got started in such a social media frenzy that it was.
I made a post, like other posts I've made in the past, but it resonated pretty broadly. So I was operating and got a call from an insurance company, United Healthcare, and they were asking for just like basic information about my patient who was actually having surgery. And it was just so absurd that they needed her diagnosis and wanted a justification for her overnight stay, like in the middle of operating. They reached me in the operating room. It just...
Like, the United Healthcare guy was outside in the car. They waited for me to scrub in, and then I had to as soon as I went in, right when I had the scalpel on her boob, he rang on the emergency line. He said, immediately, ma'am, get the fuck out here. We need to talk about this patient.
The absurdity of it made me post. And I just said, this is what happened today. And
you obviously said it not expecting some sort of heavy response.
If I had known, well, I don't know.
Would you have done it differently, maybe?
That was a good question. I think legally I wouldn't have said the name United because then I wouldn't have had the pain.
Right.
But also my life's trajectory has changed because I said United. Mm-hmm. And so I'm
maybe
okay with that.
Maybe TBD on
yeah.
whether or not you change it.
I'm also, I learned a lot from that.
Well, let's keep going with the story because this is interesting for folks.
Okay, so I posted and that post went viral.
In the post you told the story.
That was it. I just said basically like,
here's my day.
Here's insurance.
Yeah.
I don't have words for this.
Yeah.
How did they get me in the OR? This is ridiculous. And that post went viral. And then
and describe to folks, because viral could take so many forms. Like I have YouTube videos that get 1 million views regularly. To some people, 1 million views is viral, but your story went viral.
Well, I mean, I haven't tallied up the views, but someone has told me it was like 14 million across. So
I think it's much higher than that.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't looked. Seriously, you wouldn't. I don't even know how to look.
Well, it's hard because you have to compile all the social media platforms, and when someone makes a post on X and doesn't,
there were so many. Yeah, so it got around and
tens of millions.
Okay. I'm going to trust you on that. It was a lot. It was to the point where people were calling me from around the world, like asking for my story and what happened.
News agencies calling you, I presume.
Totally, yeah.
And they're calling you direct, or how were they reaching you?
Yeah, because I'm just a person. They were emailing my practice or sending me a message or calling my.
How did you realize? Like, what was the moment that you realized it was getting so much attention?
The day after I posted it, I walked into the hospital and an orthopedic surgeon walked up behind me and patted me on the back and was like, "Thank you for saying that." And I was like, "What?"
So you weren't aware yet?
No.
When did I realize it? On Friday nights, I volunteer my time to do facial reconstruction surgeries for children flown in from war-torn African countries. And as I was walking down the hallway, I could hear claps coming from all of the hospital rooms and the beds and the patients. One patient who had been in a coma for 14 years apparently woke up just to applaud me walking down the hallway. And that's when I realized I'd made a difference.
Wow. Okay.
No. Because I was going in to do more beat flaps.
Yeah.
Like it was like a,
a regular day.
Totally.
Yeah. And did you then grab your phone?
Yeah, well, I had noticed that like my phone was kind of beeping a lot, and then I had to turn off notifications on it. But at that point I wasn't like checking. So that was just strange. But also I was like, this is actually really interesting, and I'm glad that this is getting some attention because it needs it. Because we've gotten out of control.
And the initial attention, was it people asking questions, thanking you, angry with you, all the above?
Most of them were, think back. Most were positive. There were some negative, for sure. There was some negative from plastic surgeons. There was some negative from surgeons saying like, why did you take the phone call? And I had to explain to like, I'm in the operating room. Why would I take a phone call? That sounds like really irresponsible. And I went through the process of, oh gosh, now I have to explain to social media why I took the phone call. Okay, so I have a partner in the room. There was a doctor in the room, still operating. Also, I was afraid they were going to charge her for the surgery. So I'm thinking about her, financial health and all of that. I mean,
and usually they're not reaching out to you mid-operation.
I mean, they literally sent them.
How do they? It's not. Wait, stop, Dr. Mike. Why do you think they know that she's in an operating room? Like, what insurance company? Do they have your schedule for the day? They're like, hey, we need to call Dr. Sam. Dr. Sam, can we pull up the camera on her private practice? Where's she at right now? In surgery? Ring that bitch up right the fuck now. Let's go. Like,
message into the operating room, and there was a post-it note, United, patient's name.
Oh, wait, hold on. What? So they didn't. Wait, hold on. Oh, she's telling the story more now.
About her, financial health and all of that. And it's
also, I still like how doctors are able to do this, right? Like, I'm just thinking, as I'm about to operate her, like, damn, this bitch is going to be financially fucked. And it's like, aren't you the one charging her though? It's you're the one charging her, right? It's your bill going to her, right? Isn't that the thing that's going on right now? No.
And usually they're not reaching out to you mid-operation.
I mean, they literally sent a message into the operating room, and there was a post-it note, United, patient's name.
Who is they? The Jews? Who? One of their guys showed up? Who sent it right into the operating room? What?
Call them back. Like, they're asking to talk to you right now. It seems urgent. Like the nurse manager.
Oh, the nurse manager. Oh, wait. So it was a United. Okay.
Went through multiple levels to get to me in the operating room. And then I had a 2-minute phone.
Oh, wait. Is that on the United Healthcare side, or is that on her side?
I'm going to talk to you right now. It seems urgent. Like the nurse manager went through multiple levels to get to me in the operating room. And then I had a 2-minute phone conversation with them. But
and what did the conversation? What was it like in general referencing? The patients, whether or not they should be getting surgery?
Literally, it was just the most mundane details. What's her diagnosis? Why does she need to stay overnight?
So it was about the stay.
Yeah.
Which should be figured out after the fact.
There's no reason today why this needs to happen. And why am I having to think?
What do you mean there's no? Yeah, you want to figure it out before you do it. But that apparently, now United Healthcare says that wasn't the reason. The reason was because they had coded incorrectly that she was going to be doing an inpatient thing rather than just like an observational overnight stay. And that's what they were calling to clarify. But that they didn't demand that this didn't need to be answered immediately, because they could have done it in a few hours or the next day or whatever. Now, who's true? Who's lying? I mean, we have their letter. We've got her story. I don't know.
Think about this, but that's what doctors around the country are experiencing. Why?
And I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't think that this is happening where insurers are constantly calling people in the operating room, but you're pointing to the bigger picture here where these insurance companies in their denials are being so aggressive that it's even reaching you in the operating room.
Correct. And the feeling that I had for, more than a year before that with insurance, this whole coding thing led up to it, right? Like the feeling that I had was if an insurance company tells me to jump, I say how high. That's what it feels like for me to do breast reconstruction, because they could just not pay or charge the patient. I mean, the stories I heard and dealt with prior to this call led me to this feeling of, if I don't address this.
Aren't those phone calls recorded? So that's why I would say that it's unlikely that United Healthcare is lying, is because they do record the phone calls. But I've seen so many dumb people lie about so much stupid shit that they end up getting disproven on. I don't know. But
something bad is going to happen to this patient. So yeah, I don't think that people are being called out of the operating room routinely, although I've heard from surgeons who've said, I've gotten a call on the way to the OR, very similar things.
Sure.
But it's just in general that we have to deal with insurance companies in the middle of the day, certainly interrupting care. I mean, I've heard that.
I mean, I do that all the time.
Right, peer-to-peer, we have
prior
to talk to you
authorizations.
about you. Yeah,
I mean,
it's all day.
Yeah. I've had prior authorizations for the most basic antibiotics because I prescribed capsules, not tablets in the electronic health record.
I mean, why?
Well, because they didn't do a great job negotiating capsules and they did tablets. But
America, did you know this?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Like, let's just stop it. Let's stop it. I mean, because think about that delay in treatment. So you have a delay in giving the antibiotic, right? That has a medical outcome. And at some point...
And how do you quantify that?
Yeah, and at some point that feels like you're making a medical decision. Now I know that's a broad leap, but like when an insurance company tells me you can't operate for another 2 months just because on a patient with cancer, that feels like they're making a medical decision for that patient. They're overruling me when I say I want to do, it's time for surgery.
Just because what?
Or, when they deny whatever. Like,
when they make those denials, what are they basing the denial off?
I mean, which one?
Well, like in your mind, hypothetically, you're going with, you're saying patient needs this now, and they say 2 months.
Yeah.
What's their logic behind?
They said that they had literature to support that.
Support that they should wait?
Yeah, so this was a woman who had a unilateral mastectomy. She was in her 30s. She had one breast removed for breast cancer. And that was like a year and a half ago. The night before that surgery, so we planned to remove both breasts. The night before that surgery, her insurance company denied the contralateral mastectomy. They said, we're not going to pay for removing the breast that doesn't have cancer. Okay, so the morning of surgery, patient was informed that their insurance company had said that by the breast surgeon. And they were like, this is so stressful. Let's wait, and we're having reconstruction eventually. Let's do the other mastectomy. So you're gonna have another surgery in the future. Let's just do your other mastectomy later. So she was like, okay. So basically the patient agreed on the morning of surgery.
Wait, did they have to take out both breasts if the other one didn't have cancer? Are you supposed to?
Agreed to only have one breast removed, not both.
And the reasoning by your calculation to remove both was what?
Well, the patient's so high risk, family history. She was 36, she had an advanced disease. She was counseled about her risk, and that was a choice that she made with her breast surgeon. So I'm the reconstructive surgeon.
Okay. Now, maybe that is a really good call, and maybe that's actually super normal. I don't know, actually. Like, you could show me a stat. Maybe when somebody has a single mastectomy, maybe 90% of patients have a double mastectomy. Maybe that is normal. But just by what you described there, it also sounds like it's a surgery that would also just make her more money. And maybe it's not always necessary. I don't know. Who knows?
Got it.
And there's the breast surgeon who does the cancer part of the surgery, and they had made that decision with her.
So that's the part that got denied.
So first, that was denied.
Got it.
So then fast forward a year, and this woman who's had the breast on for a year because it wasn't removed at the first surgery, and has completed chemotherapy and radiation, and then waited 4 months because I, as a microsurgeon, know that 4 months after the end of radiation, I have a 99.7% success rate at doing a deep flap. So 4 months is good. And there's no literature that supports longer. And I have lots and lots of data because I track everything I do, like times and all of it. I have lots and lots of data to say that that's the right time for me to do that surgery for her. So I submitted to the insurance company, and I said, I'd like to do her deep flap reconstruction, and also it's time to do the mastectomy on the other side. So we're going to do both sides. And the rigmarole that they sent us through was ridiculous. They said, no, 4 months doesn't sound right. Let's wait another 2 months. And I'm like, why? I'm the doctor. I'm the one. Well, we have some data that says that 6 months is recommended. I'm like, that data doesn't exist. There's no guideline that says that. Right? But I had to go through multiple calls, finally get on the phone with...
Could there not be other doctors in whatever that say I waited 6 months and she's saying she waited 4 months? Is that not maybe? I don't know.
An oncologist. Finally, I got an oncologist and explained to the folks that I could do this at this time. And they also at that time were saying we're not going to cover the other mastectomy still. So they revisited that again. And I had to explain, no, she has one chance for me to do deep flap surgery. And if I don't do both breasts now, I can't come back and do it later. And she has chosen to have her breast removed. And by the way, these are her risk factors. And this is why. It was just, that's just a couple of months ago. All of this extra time with an insurance company turning the screws and practicing medicine, I would say, but also delaying a mastectomy. I've had patients before who, their mastectomy has been delayed and we found more cancer than we thought we were going to find. There's a health implication to delay. And companies that practice in healthcare and insurance really need to be aware of that. I'm sure they are. We just have to point it out.
Do you think the delay is truly in the patient's best interest from these companies, or is it usually a way to wait for the patient to fall off the plan, a way for someone else to take responsibility from a financial standpoint, like they're swapping and let's say they're 65 years of age now, or are they thinking about the patient?
I can't imagine how they're making that decision by thinking about the patient. I was the doctor. I had all of the data to support it. It just seemed financial. And it happens over and over and over again, where I feel like the delay is part of them controlling cost. It's a dial they can turn. And it's, if we deny this, if we delay this, then,
profits will be X.
Yeah. And I do think that a lot of insurance companies got dinged for denying things after the fact.
You were in your car and you talked to your sister about taking on the challenge. What came next?
So we posted the letter that they had sent to me. And there was a week of me weighing that. Like, is this, my attorney told me this may be difficult for you. Are you sure you want to do this? And I decided, yes, we're going to do this. And then the response was really overwhelmingly positive and supportive towards me, and appalled at the insurance company treating a doctor and patients in that way. I just think it was like people get little looks at an insurance company from different scenarios. And I think they just had a lot of glances from different perspectives lately. And this was another one that added up to something is amiss.
What about press?
Yeah, so people called. I'm not used to that, but there were a lot of folks from around the country and even other countries calling, asking for my perspective. I learned quickly about how to speak with reporters and what background is, and
And how did all that go? Like, do they invite you on morning talk shows? Are they inviting you for quotes and subtext in a New York Times piece?
No. There hasn't been. I would say there were like The Guardian. There was like Bloomberg News. There were some online news things. There were, it wasn't as big as people reached out and then didn't publish things too. And I don't know how that all works.
Interesting.
And then there was like a separate thing where like a prominent investor weighed in, and that created a different vibe, a different tone to the inquiries I was getting.
Right. So where do you see the conversation existing today?
Today, I'd say that it's taken off from that point. And now what we're interested in is talking about the truth of healthcare in the U.S. and exposing, shedding light on what's really happening for patients and providers, and creating a space where it's not just complaining, but, you know, an opportunity.
All right, well, this is a good 17-hour fucking side quest. Okay.